And we are live. Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Forever Sports, another night of rugby's Greatest Rivalry Tour. Match 2 on the schedule, and we're down in Durban this evening. The Sharks taking on the All Blacks, and what an All Black side it is. Really, really strong. And I think that this is obviously kind of the closest thing to the test team, inverted commas, and we're always going to see two very different teams, I think, between the first game and the second team. And genuinely, you usually kind of have a bit of a touring team and then kind of close to your test team. And, tonight is an opportunity for the players who are supposedly the inverted commas, the test team, to go out and show their worth, to show what they're at, to show where they're ready to sort of take on the task. So it's a big opportunity for Dave Rennie to get a lot of information about his side and kind of see exactly where they are, what they need to work on, and see if anybody else is maybe struggling with form. Who played well. I mean, look like an Antonina Brown, for example, I think made a big case for himself on Friday night. You had a Peter Lakai, who I thought made a big case for himself tonight. Now you've got players, for example, like Wallace Atiti. He can come out tonight and put his hand up and put himself into the mix and the likes of that. So that is where these sort of midweek games get really, really exciting. We are 3 midweek games across the entire tour within South Africa. We've obviously got the Stormers we had on Friday, then we've got the Sharks tonight, Bulls on Saturday, and then we've got Lions in 2 weeks today, action 25th. So there'll be no midweek action next week as the tour takes a bit of a big breath ahead of the match on the 22nd, the first test. And I want you guys to do a bit of a check-in. Where are you guys watching from? How are we sort of feeling about everything? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And who are you supporting? Are we, as South Africans, are we all sort of rallying behind the Sharks? Are we, are we the Cape Crusaders in the comments? Who are looking forward to seeing what the All Blacks are going to do? And as I said, I tell you what, it's a deep All Black side is another way of putting it, really, in terms of it's a quality side. There's so much experience, lots of players who are involved in the first few tests under Dave Rennie. So it's a big opportunity for them to start getting things right at the end of the day. And I mean, it's not just a case of them going through the motions. They've got to try and find that balance between trying to not give any things away, but also find a bit of rhythm. You can't simply, like the Springboks, there's a certain amount of, yes, you want to build depth, and yes, you want to try and maybe keep things back, but you also have to start building rhythm. You have to start building momentum. I always say that momentum is such an important thing in sport. And if the momentum's with you, I think you can achieve so much. If the momentum's against you, then it becomes a really difficult thing to try and turn back. So they've got to find some momentum. They got off to a shaky start. Let's call a spade a spade. A shaky start on Friday. I don't think they were ever going to lose the match, but it certainly wasn't a foregone conclusion come the 60th, 70th minute, which is really exciting. The fact that the Stormers did manage to push this All Black side. I do think now tonight we've got two things that are very true. First of all, I do think it is a much stronger All Black side than what we saw on Friday night. And similarly, I think that we are seeing a weaker Sharks side than I think the Stormers side was, and there are some exciting players in the Sharks side. Obviously, the big sort of talking point is Mara Nonu and kind of that whole aspect of it and the likes of that. But I do think that the Sharks are missing some pretty key players this evening. Not even just your box camp, but no Bongi Manambi, no Maximum Pimpy, no Corne Roll. Those sort of players that are missing as well. Vincent Tuka, concussion issues. So they're missing players even when over and above kind of what was in the box squad. The exciting thing is, and it's not really relevant for tonight, but I was at the Bulls training today and spoke to Jan Ackerman, and looks like the Bulls are going full balls to the walls this weekend. He said that they are going as strong as they can. So Marcel Kutsia, your new signings, Kerwin Bosch, Honor Liebenberg, Enbros Papier, you got the likes of a Ruan Vermaak, a Steve Satole, the Harold Forsters, Cheswell Eusters. They are all going to be playing on Friday, on Saturday. That Bulls are going to go as strong as they can, which is what this tour deserves, I think. Obviously it's a preseason game for the likes of the domestic sides, which is not ideal, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But we want to try and see them give a go. And East Stormers, for example, they said that this is a preseason game. Johan Ackerman even said, they're hoping not to peak at this stage. They probably won't be able to give a full 80-minute performance, but he said we're going to have a go and see where they are. And that's just the reality of kind of the timing of the tour. Obviously, when we go to the All Blacks, it might be a bit different because they'll kind of be in sort of the NPC about a month and a bit after Super Rugby, but they could basically keep their full-strength sides, keep them going, building up to this particular game, and then go into a proper off season in your sort of October, November, December, or you get back into preseason in December. So it obviously is a bit better when we go there from a timing point of view, with Super Rugby starting in January, February versus URC starting in September. But that is kind of the whole point of the whole global calendar, is trying to work out these sort of kinks and the likes of that. And not having your international players, inverted commas, that's always the case. When you look at the British and Irish Lions, for example, similar sort of things. I think what doesn't help is the fact that we've got a much bigger box squad these days, 42, 43 players. We're usually kind of at 35. So if you were to release, 7 players, and maybe you to release a who's on the fringes within the Bulls' point of view. Not that many players, actually, but Jan Hendrik Wessels. Jan Hendrik Wessels, I think, adds a lot, especially, given the fact that Jan Ackerman has said that he's got no hookers. But if you look at the Sharks, if the Sharks were to have a Ethan Hooker this evening, I think that obviously helps a lot. If they were to have obviously Oxen Shea is injured, but, somebody like an Eben Etzebeth would be a really, really big boost for them. So they are missing some key players. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, there's some very, very talented players. And I think, the likes of Siyaya this evening, the number 15 jersey, watch out for him. Vusi Moyer in the number 10 jersey, he's a test player. What can he conjure up this evening? Ivan van Zyl on debut for the Sharks. He's an international player. You've got lots of quality within the Sharks side. And youngsters, put your hand up and have a go. That's the whole point, isn't it? But I'm not going to be with you live the entire time. I'm going to be moving into some of the slots of the breakfast show. So in case you missed the breakfast show yesterday, you're going to be able to get to watch some of it, which we really spoke about the Greatest Rivalry Tour and where we're going with it and where the blocks are and the likes of that. So it's a nice way to kind of build up towards kickoff, which is in just under an hour and a half. We'll have a look at the team as well, and exactly kind of where we are. So we'll sort of really ramp our build up after we kind of throw back to the breakfast show with myself and X Reaction to Rugby. If you have not, go and check out his channel. Very, very fun, very cool. A bit of a new one on the block, but growing nice and quickly, and had a very, very cool chat yesterday. So in the meantime, get your score predictions and smash a like on the video. Over 150 people watching, just the 12 likes. Hit that like button, tag your mates, get involved, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
Right, and welcome everybody. It is a Monday morning and very, very interesting weekend of rugby to get through. Welcome to the Forever Sports Breakfast Club on a Monday morning with myself and X. X, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Stevie. I hope you're well. There's quite a bit of rugby this time around, so quite a bit to get through. But
yeah, listen, interesting weekend of sport and an interesting sort of stuff to get through. A lot of people will sort of be talking a little bit about exactly where we're all sort of at. Some people not very happy with what they saw from a block point of view, and we're going to sort of get into that a lot over the course of the show. So coming up on the show, we've got so much to get through. It's going to be a pretty jam-packed show. So basically, fasten your seatbelts if you're out in traffic, especially, and get ready for what is going to be an interesting and fun ride. Because over the weekend we had Box versus Argentina. We had the Rugby's Greatest Rivalry Tour starting. We've got some interesting injuries already within the All Black camp, as well as obviously Curry Cup. And a bit of a rebrand, which is good too, because we do have a Sharks fan in the house. So, X, let's start with the box, because I'm going to put a poll on in the comments, and it's basically been an interesting last couple of days, to be honest. And obviously, it wasn't the best performance on Saturday. So I'm going to put a poll in the comments and basically saying, are you worried? Is that a bit of nervousness coming over here? How are we feeling in general about the box and about the situation? Because on Friday night, I think a lot of Box fans were quite quick to jump on the All Blacks performance, and karma has a funny way of kind of bringing you down back to earth. Because on Saturday, then the Box probably had their worst performance in a while, and what we're going to be discussing is some of the reactions that we have had in the comments. And for everyone saying there is no panic, I can assure you, running a social media, lots of social media things, there is a bit of panic. And I think a lot of the Bok fans who are pretty measured are feeling all right. But X, immediate reaction after the final whistle, what were the thoughts?
my first thought was, I'm just glad that in the Springbok camp, they do have their own reality. That was just the one thing that kept me sort of calm. And also Rassie Erasmus touching on how they are looking to peak at the right time. It doesn't look like they really want to be playing their all-out best rugby right now. Obviously, comparisons to the World Cup, in terms of the games in succession, how this is probably more difficult than a group stage in the World Cup. So all sort of those nuances kind of gives me the idea that there is a bit of control within the Springbok camp. Now we are allowed as fans to go off, let us be worried. Let's take care of that. But I think there's a couple of positives, Stevie, that we could take away from the performance. If we are looking at all the things that Rassie wanted to do to sort of tick in that fixture, getting some 80-minute game into a Sasha, into a Luert, into an Eben. And I thought I'm sure we're going to get a lot of, I know we're going to touch on this, but I'm sure we're going to get a lot of sort of negative feedback with regards to Fassi. But I thought Fassi's second stint, and I did see you mention that as well.
Yeah, I think I likened it to Andre Pollard against Scotland, where like that first time it wasn't great, and then went onto the bench and then kind of came back. Maybe we need to almost deploy it as a tactic, because that's not two players who had to go sit on the bench for 2 minutes. When they come on, they look like different players.
Yeah. So I think if anything, I'm not too panicked. Obviously, we are having questions. The All Blacks still have 2 games that they're going to play. Good luck to the Sharks tomorrow. So they still have a bit of room to sort of improve in how they're doing things. I'm just putting my faith on the doctor, Rassie Erasmus, to get it. And potentially not the best game maybe in that first test, but I'm just sticking to his words of wanting to peak at the right time, maybe especially on those last 2 games, which could potentially be deciders, or rather the last game, the third game, that will be a decider as to who wins the 3-game series, not touching on the Baltimore.
Yeah, I think a lot of people sort of seem to think that I've got the attitude that's just kind of basically a little standalone test. Whoever was one on the shores is who's one on the shores. But yeah, I think you're right, and I think at the end of the day, it's a case of we need to understand where we are. We need to understand a lot of the scenarios. But I saw an interesting reaction yesterday, and I think it was Kick on Rugby, and he basically said we can't have it both ways. We can't talk about the incredible depth that we've got when we rotate the entire time, and then at the same time, if you have a bad performance, try and justify it and say that they'll play coming back from injury. But I also think that two things can be true at the same time, because there were players coming back. There's always going to be a certain amount of disjointedness, and I don't think that just because we had a poor performance on Saturday that all of a sudden we can't speak about the fact that we got that depth. At the end of the day, the players that played on Saturday, ironically, a lot of the players who didn't perform particularly well are some of the players who we weren't really worried about going in. I mean, I thought on Saturday, my big thing was where's Sia Khaleesi? And we now know that there's a second hamstring, a different hamstring injury as well. I think it's very important to clarify it is a different hamstring. So everyone coming back saying, you see, he wasn't actually fit or whatever, like it was a completely different injury. And if you look at it, it does look like more of an impact-related injury in terms of what actually happened at the ruck. So we'll be very careful when we talk about, oh no, like he's not fit or he's not ready and the likes of that, because you've got to look at how that injury happened. But my thing is, I wanted to see what was he even going to look like, what was Sasha going to look like, what was Monica van der Berg going to look like. Those players coming back from injury, and I thought those were probably some of the stronger performers. And ironically, a lot of the players who have been so reliable and been so solid over the last few months were kind of the players that maybe didn't quite step out. I didn't think Andre Estes had a particularly good game. Kenny Moody took a while to get going. Ethan Hooker, who was phenomenal last year. I thought he had struggled a little bit. But some players also, I think, very much put their hands up in that game. So which players were you impressed with?
Cameron Anakom. Obviously, Cameron Anakom, a guy that we know of, a guy that we know where, I mean, he hasn't hit his ceiling yet, but we've seen him put on some crazy performances within the Bulls camp. And obviously, we will be aware that with the alignment camps, there are certain things in the Bok camp that are sort of done differently. So even Rassi mentioned, I mean, we were quick. I think one of the journalists did ask in terms of, I mean, that performance at number 8, does that sort of, but Rassi was quick to sort of put those down and saying, hey, Jesper Visser is sort of our number 1, but it's great that we have another option in Cameron. But I thought Cameron Hanekom, I thought Edwulf van der Merwe, I mean, he came onto the scene. Rassi told us about his affinity to chase lost causes. I thought he helped us quite a bit with the scrambled defense. Obviously, with the super aerial game that we were playing, I thought Ethan was there, Edwul. I'm trying to see, look, bomb squad, we are going to touch on it, but a couple of guys from that bomb squad, we saw a very lethal step from one Zachary Porth, and this brother just keeps on showing us different skill sets. But yeah, I would say Edwul, I would say Cameron Hanekom, Erdoglo, I thought he was good, and I was just happy to see the two locks also just play a full game and be assertive in how they did things. I didn't want to see too much roughness from them, but yeah.
I think the search is a very good way of putting it as well, because Rassi spoke about the fact that he felt that he saw the old Evan to a certain degree, very abrasive, did get a charge down in, for example, which is quite a landmark, well, a trademark thing of his.
Yeah.
The try came off the back of a contestable kick, which he got up and contested for. So I think it very much was a bit of a reminder that, let's not write off these players. I thought Lord getting through 80. And I think what I quite enjoyed is we always talk about the fact that they train very hard in during the week and have these many practice matches, which they're always quick to tell us are more intense than what happens elsewhere. But you can't replicate test match rugby. I really feel like you just cannot replicate it. And there was a moment where Sasha had gone for a run, came back, had to go for a run, and this was about 20 minutes in, and he just sat there, and you could see, I was like, that man is finished. And you can just see that you've trained and everything like that, but it's a different intensity. So I don't think people can really sort of ever replicate that and understand that test match rugby is a different level. And yeah, I think some of the performances weren't great. And again, some of the more reliable players, I thought Kobus Reinach had his worst game in a while, but he's been one of our best players in the last calendar year. In terms of the reaction, let's talk about the kicking game, the dreaded kicking game. And some of the comments coming in are saying, From Evan saying, not thrilled with the performance, but expected poor performances with rotations and holding back on game plans before Greatest Rivalry and World Cup. We're going to talk about that because a lot of the New Zealand fans also saying that that's kind of what happened in the Stormers games. And then Troy saying, I don't think we should panic, but I think the first game against the All Blacks will be the toughest because the Box, with so many chances and so many changes each game, are not used to playing as a unit. Is a certain amount of always worry about that in terms of not having a consistent 15. And I have to say, no disrespect, but the downgrade PS to low is quite massive. We'll talk about some of that and the fact that some of the players I thought put themselves in the mix, but I think there's certain players that we definitely do miss. The kicking game is really dominating the discourse at the moment. And I did a video basically yesterday saying that the kicking game is inevitable and at the same time essential. But what we saw yesterday is what happened, or on Sunday rather, is when it's not accurate, that becomes a problem. And in windy conditions, you do tend to kick the ball a lot. There's, and to say that Argentina didn't kick, for example, a lot of people saying is also false. They kicked over 30 times.
They did.
So it was. I think they just kicked better. And I think what we saw was a team that understood the conditions a lot better than we did. So, I mean, your thoughts on the kicking game in general, and maybe more importantly, the fact that maybe we didn't quite adjust to it, particularly in the first half, very well.
Yeah, look, I watch quite a bit of rugby content, and some of the comments there. Now, firstly, just about the kicking game, I think we've come far. If you're comparing the kicking game and the lack of understanding we had 2019 till now, there's obviously we've learned quite a bit. But I think what was frustrating with the kicking game over the weekend was how far the kicks were going. A couple of those kicks going into the 22 where the opposition just have to call for a mark. You look at those situations and think, well, that was kind of useless. But I think an element now, I'm not making excuses. I am a person from science. I mean, I do study these things. And Rassi did mention in terms of just the infrastructure, the shape of the stadium itself. You've got the stands coming up on the sides, but in the corners, you've got those dips that allows sort of I'm going to say unnatural. And when I say unnatural, it's maybe not so natural to the Springboks, not so natural to a Kobus or Monet or even a Sasha or a Andre, where the air is not sort of going the same direction. It kind of looked like it was a swirling wind. It was a wind that would almost even change in direction from one phase to the other. So I thought maybe, yes, we definitely sort of stuck to what we went onto the field. But something interesting, I mean, I did start this segment by saying I do watch quite a bit of rugby content. Something interesting that was mentioned is how Argentina were kicking, where they were looking to find more of green. They were kicking it in the middle. And also how the Argentine were defending our kicks. It did look like they sort of wanted to join the race to the kick instead of being at the back and waiting for the kick, where they're in a static position. Edwell or Ethan is more running onto them, a lot more sort of risk with the injuries interfering, where you in a realistic position to catch the ball. But it does look like now they were a lot flatter, turning around and running with the Springbok player, and even with the sort of what do they call it? The rule that was just stopped now with the blocking,
protecting the blocking, the escorting rule.
The escort, yes, yeah. Perfect. The escorting rule. You can't be an escort if you are the one who's going for the ball as well. So I thought there were some nuances there. Obviously, this is something I heard from, I think it was Tim on his channel, which I found very interesting. Went back to go look at it, and it was pretty fascinating. And one could think, were the All Blacks watching that? Is that something that maybe the All Blacks? And just lastly, without dwelling too much, also the amount of kicking we did, catch 22, was that Russ's way also of just sending the wrong message to the All Blacks in terms of the amount of kicks that were made? As to, I mean, who do the All Blacks do homework on? Do you do homework on the England game, the Scotland game, the Wales game, the Welsh game, or do you take it back to Wellington, like I said last week? Who do you do, or what game plan? And lastly, when we talk about depth, I don't think it's necessarily always just about the amount of options we have. The depth is also the game that we play. Yes, Kick On can say those things, but at the same time, we can switch it up. We can kick this week, and next week we could play a different game. And I think that's another game that's being played off the field by the two coaches, is making sure that not everything is out there to be analyzed going into that first test. Long one, but I hope I got everything out there.
There we go. Well, I mean, you got to get used to the ranting because you are on the 60 Reckon rant duty later. Yeah, I think we have seen us being able to adapt. So to say that we can't adapt is a bit flawed. And again, we do have this, or I think many of us are hoping that we've got this idea of we're going to sort of hold back. I mean, maybe we have shown a lot of cards, who knows? But I'd be very surprised. But we've definitely shown that we can adapt. For example, when we went and played against France a couple of years ago, and they basically looked at the fact that France, even before sort of the World Cup one, and especially post that as well, there were certain games where we just decided, well, we're not going to kick to you. It doesn't matter. Every single time you kick to us, we're going to run it straight back at you. And we did for a game. And there was a complete, very, very deliberate that kicking. So it's going to be it's such a nice game of chess. We've got, two more games coming out from the All Blacks to be able to, and tomorrow we'll talk about the poor Sharks and what they have to deal with. But lots and lots of a bit of cat and mouse at the moment. But one of the worst stories about this weekend is Siya Kolisi going off injured, and lots of people now raising, probably rightfully, sort of flags about the worry we have going into the World Cup. So my question to you guys, and by the way, if you'd like to really weigh in on the likes of that, then go and get into the comments and let me know what you guys think of that, and send us a voice note as well. We'll put the number on the screen very shortly, and send us a voice note. Let us know what you thought of the game, and of where you're at with the whether you think Siya Kolisi is going to be able to make the World Cup or not, and that's what we're going to chat about in a little bit. So I'll put a little poll on as well. But at the moment, we asked, are you worried about the Springboks after the performance versus Argentina? 64% saying no, but 36% saying yes. So there are people that are a little bit worried. And you can be worried if you want to. I think I'm sort of bubbling into sort of nervous energy at the moment. But my main worry comes with whether our captain is going to be able to get through to the World Cup. And we'll chat about that right now.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
Right, X. And you're a man in the strength and conditioning space. So I'll just throw you. I'll throw you down the in front of the bus over there. Siya Kolisi coming back this past weekend and was dealing with a hamstring injury, and came and lasted about 20 minutes and then got injured. Frustrating, because I thought he had a very strong 20 minutes and very nice carries. He looked on it, which was a positive, but then did go off. Is that now a worry in terms of this is now, and I suppose to a certain degree, it being a different hamstring is kind of like, well, at least it's not re-injury, but now you're thinking, okay, but now he's got hamstring issues on potentially both legs. Do we is this now not panic station, but do we now start to worry about him for next year?
Next year, no. I would say maybe this tour right now, yes. We do not know the extent of the first injury. It didn't happen in a game where we would see what had happened, but with this one here, we did see obviously that hyperextension of the knee. He was there, knee on the ground, trying to play scrum off, and then Eben trying to go in. It was funny because he was saying that it would have been a try because there was a penalty there.
Yeah, I did enjoy him asking for that penalty try and saying, but if you hadn't stopped me, I was going to go over. So no penalty try, and the ref said, not quite, mate.
Yeah, but look, first things first, I think for me, when I was chatting about this, I took it back to the knee injury of Siya Kolisi, and I know when you are in rehab and you're also trying to sort of get you stronger, the hamstring obviously is your accessory muscle to the quads. When the one extends, the one sort of lengthens, the one shortens. So it is a nice sort of way to relieve the knee a little bit. So look, from just looking at Siya from the training sessions we've been to, it's clear to see that his hamstrings have grown quite a bit. He's put on quite some tissue on his hamstrings since the knee injury. So my question was, is this more of a conditioning thing? Look, he's not the only one who has sort of lost connection with his hamstring. We did see Riley Norton. We did hear of Jaco Williams as well, which...
Yeah, a bit worrying that there's so many hamstring injuries coming out of the block camp at the moment.
And I mean, we can do a bit of research. I don't have the answers for you now, but in terms of what running. I mean, hamstring is a running muscle, sort of that strength and lengthen return. So you would assume that a lot of running, a lot of fitness would have attributed to the other hamstrings. But to cut this short, look, I think let's wait for the scans. Let's see how bad the tear is. Again, I think it's very important to note that it's not the same hamstring, and I think that is somewhat a positive. I do think that hamstring is pretty fine, and I think, look, if we do see Sia at all, we'll probably see him on that third or fourth test. But I don't think, with the depth that we always talk about and rave about, there's no need to rush him. Not to say we don't need him. Obviously, we need that leadership. We need Sia on the field. But at the same time, I mean, we've got Paul de Villiers. We've got a couple of guys. We've got, I heard potentially that Chituka at the Sharks had a bit of concussion. There's a bit of a question mark. We'll chat about that. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that have been in around the camp that could do the job. I think the major question would be the captaincy.
Yes.
Which, again, a couple of guys who have done it. Jesse has done it. P.D. Steve has been doing it pretty well in the
Evan's captain.
Eben, yeah. So, yeah, look, all the best to Sia. I have no doubt that he has the mental sort of strength to go through it. I don't think it's a crazy one, but like your question, I think what we should prioritize is next year, in terms of him being fully fit. Yeah.
I think the big thing now moving forward will be a case of how do you what do you sort of prioritize going after this? And I think what would be a big thing is working with the Stormers a lot in terms of next year. We're going to have to make sure that we are playing him a lot, that he's getting lots of game time, because you need to prove that fitness. But at the same time, Rassi has also spoke about sort of the importance of player management. It's that fine line, because you have to play a lot to sort of be battle hard, especially if you think about coming from a hamstring injury. You know, you want to be able to really test that. You want to make sure that you're playing 2, 3, 4 games.
Yeah.
You know, sprinting down the wing and not having to worry about that. I mean, anyone who's had an injury will know that you are only over that injury when it basically leaves your mind.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had sort of 3 knee ops, and you're so cognizant of just waiting for it to start hurting or waiting for it. And it's only when that sort of, and even when it sort of stops hurting, it's only a couple of months when you start to trust it again.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger thing. It's building that trust. But we're speaking about replacements. Paul de Villiers obviously had a fantastic tournament in the Nations Championship, but it's a nice way to move into the big second story of the week, which was the Greatest Rivalry opener, because a certain closing on 40-year-old player in the number 6 jersey, who did finish a World Cup final as the on-field captain, was looking pretty good. And there's rumors that he could potentially be back in the green and gold.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
Right. Rugby's Greatest Rivalry Tour. It started. We've got it. And I tell you, I'm on my personal channel, I kind of do like, I'm starting sort of these Monday unfiltered sort of chats about just whatever what on my mind. And I'm now in 2 minds about whether I want to go in about the reaction to the Springboks or just how excited and buzzing I am for Rugby's Greatest Rivalry. And it's weird because and lots of people spoke about it. And interestingly, Canal only announced the deal to broadcast things on Friday. So we haven't really seen much build up on like DSTV and other block games, but obviously there's been lots of build up on social media and the likes of that. Yeah. But I do feel like we didn't quite get maybe the build up we deserve. But on Friday, it suddenly kind of really hit me. And I just thought, how cool is this? How cool is this that we're going to see All Blacks versus the Stormers? So many of these All Blacks players haven't even been to South Africa. So many Stormers players have not played against you. I mean, Ron Null spoke about that in his post-match and said, you know, we were just so honored. Just please don't undersell just how big of a deal this for us. Diamani crying in half the Stormers team crying in the anthems, the Weinberg boys. This tour is going to be phenomenal, isn't it?
Goosebumps. Goosebumps. I teared up, Stevie. I think let me put it out there.
Well, you and half the Stormers, we'll just crop you back into next to Diamani with the tears there as well.
And I think so. What was happening is I'm walking home. I'm literally entering the house. I'm singing the New Zealand, the All Black national anthem, actually out loud. And I mean, my girlfriend at the time is watching me. Is like, you even know the national anthem? And it hit me when she asked me that question, because it's part of our growing up. We know the New Zealand national anthem. I wouldn't say word for word. I mean the first part where it's not English, you kind of say a few things.
I would have been interested to see how the Cape Crusaders managed that part on Friday.
But you just realize the magnitude, and then the haka goes on. I'm standing there. I'm shaking side to side. They said 50 years, Stevie. 1976 was the last time. I don't want to trail aside too much, but we did hear a little bit of the Griquas head coach saying that, you know, we feel like we should have been involved in this. And it's good to note that 1996, 1818, Griquas and All Blacks, they actually drew with the All Blacks in that series. It's something I want to just sort of nudge as I get into this question here is just how things have changed, Stevie, in the era of rugby. The last time this tour happened, it was 96. The game was professional, but the Cara Cup still had weight. So a lot of the teams that would have played the All Blacks were teams that did well, I'm guessing, in the Cara Cup at the time. Now it's a professional era. You've got the 4 franchises, and those are the 4 teams you're going to play regardless of how well they are doing. I mean, if you're looking at a team like the Sharks, who are going through a change and new coach and whatnot, but because they're the franchise, they are the ones who are going to be facing the All Blacks. And you're sitting with the situation where there are players like Faf de Klerk. I mean, that whole Griquas team, Boland as well, who have been playing out of their boots. But just a side note, I just wanted to mention that in a sense that this greatest rivalry is also arriving at a time where things are different. And I think there's a lot of things that could potentially improve as these tours go on.
It's the first one at the end of the day. I think that's the really important part.
Yeah, no, 100%. But Friday, Wynberg boys, they win a war cry competition, which I guess the prize was for them to be there, all for that to come together with Yakin playing his first game for the Stormers.
I saw the banner and I was like, that is just goosebumps stuff. And I'm sure, I mean, he would have been locked in, but even in the warm-up, when you walk out and you hear the corner, and they were such a vibe. Shout out to Wynberg. And I know that there's going to be a score at every domestic game, which is really cool.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I heard. I stand on correction, but I want to say Northwood is there tomorrow night. For the Sharks game. So, but Yakin, 20 years old, and there must be so many nerves. But at the same time, it must have been quite almost calming presence to a certain degree when you think, well, you know what, I played in front of those boys. Yeah. And literally in front of a lot of those boys because he is only 20. So, you know, the boy, I mean, his grade 8s inverted commas are probably only like grade 10. Yeah. Phenomenal though.
And was that the whole school, Steve? Like, there was so many of them. Was that like a war cry team, or was that like grade 12 to grade 10? Like, what was the matrix? Like, how did they get all of them there?
You definitely probably find it was probably a pretty big. I mean, I'm sure. I don't think. I mean, the Wynberg's is huge. I mean, I actually have no idea if it would have been the entire school where they would have limited to a few hundred or whatever. But very very cool concept.
Beautiful, man, beautiful. And again, will we be able to? Will Kings Park? Will Loftus be able to?
No. Look, Kings Park are in trouble in terms of the game that's being played there. But I think just to go back on the Greek, the one thing I will say is if you wanted to make sure that the All Blacks lost a game before getting into the Test match, taking them to Kimberley probably would have been a pretty good shout.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't. It doesn't matter who you are. You could take an all-time 23 from all the different eras and go to Kimberley, and that Greek side will give you a go. And the Lions saw it this weekend. But speaking about some of the performances on Friday night, first of all, the Stormers themselves, 14-14, up to about 55, 60 odd minutes. Incredible performance. There's obviously the obvious ones to talk about, but the two, you know, we've got to talk about Yakin. But before we even get that, on the complete different spectrum, 20 years older than him, Dion Free's performance.
I wanted to yank him out at halftime. I wanted him off the field at halftime. I thought he had played himself in the box by halftime already, and I was just worried.
Yeah, he's just and I mean, such a nice guy. So really cool to see that. But he's just, and it goes to show we everybody's so quick about the box getting getting older and older. He was the oldest Springbok debutant ever. He's 40 in a few weeks' time, and yet everyone is sitting there saying that he might have booked not a spot even in the test team coming or the test squad coming up, but in the World Cup next year. And when you look at the kind of performance, you start to think there's a certain amount of, well, why not? Or why not?
And he kind of comes across, he's gone to a point where, and again, you can just imagine, I mean, the brother going to the World Cup, he's had 2 crazy injuries. I think he played 2-3 games and then he got injured, came back, played about a game, and then he got injured again. For me, he kind of looks like he's made a decision and he's approaching each game like it's the last.
Yes.
Like he's not playing wanting to hold back for potentially this, or I could, no. I'm on the field now, this could be my last time. I'm putting everything out. And it was just, yeah, it was crazy to see. Wonderful to see, if anything, not crazy in a bad way, but it was beautiful to see.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, because when he got injured, they basically said, is this it? And he said no. He said, I will go out on my terms.
Yeah.
So it was a big thing for him to come back and to get onto that field. And I think you're right in terms of, yeah, it could always be the last. And maybe that is a bit of a hunger you obviously just can't replicate in younger players, because I think it was a big wake-up call when you get that long-term injury. I mean, something like a Frans Malherbe, for example, we wait and see if he makes his comeback. But I'm sure if you had asked like a Steven Kitshoff, what would you have given for that one game, that last game, just to get out and to finish? I mean, I was there when Brock Harris played his last game. It wasn't even intended on being his last game, but he knew it was his last season. He knew players were coming back and the likes of that, and this was always kind of just filling in a gap. And he went down, and they called for the golf cart, and he said, I think in such uncertain terms, F4, put that away. I will walk off because this is my last time. And we didn't even know. I mean, we applauded him going off, and I was just like, proper unsung hero, the likes of Brock Harris. But that was his last game, and he said, I will walk off this field. I'll leave on my terms. And Deon Fourie, I think, has pretty much said that same thing. He said, I will play until I cannot, but is also very aware that he is getting old and those injuries are coming on. So I think it's probably such a good way of saying it, is that he did play that game as if this was his last game. And you know what? I think he had pretty much come to terms with the fact that he probably wasn't going to play for the Boks again, because you'd think injuries, age profile, World Cup next year, Paul de Villiers coming through. You sit there going, are you really going to take a Deon Fourie to the World Cup? You have a game like that, and people are sitting there saying, well, hell, release him against the All Blacks in 2 weeks' time. But on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, in fact, somebody who was hadn't even been born yet when Deon Fourie was playing Currie Cup. Just on a note, if anybody's been watching the builder towards Greatest Rivalry Tour, there's been lots of previous games and different Currie Cup games and the likes of that, and Super Rugby games from back in the day, and all these classic clashes. If you watch them, there'll be a classic clash in 2007. Deon Fourie pops up everywhere. All these different things from like 20, he's there. And but whilst he was making Super Rugby debuts and Currie Cups, a certain flower half was still in nappies. And I tell you what, you speak about somebody, the maturity of Deon Fourie's performance. What about the maturity of a 20-year-old Yakin Ahmed's performance on Friday?
Look, it was, first off, I'm watching him and I'm like, I wonder what's going through his mind. Is he just thinking, look, let me just do my basics right. Let me just get the ball. But again, it's one thing we must not forget. It was his debut. He hadn't played a game at all. He hadn't played Currie Cup.
I had to try and find a photo of him to use in our things, and I did find a photo of him in the Stormers jersey. I was like, oh, that's perfect. But it was the Stormers 23. Well, it was the XX. That in terms of brand, and when you're talking about branding, it's quite a nice way to talk about what's coming up soon. But that was the jersey he was in when I had to find, because there wasn't a photo of him playing for the Stormers because he hadn't.
Yeah, and look, I think the Stormers are going to find themselves with yet another predicament. I mean, they recently just had to not necessarily let go, but Manili Bok had to sort of move to allow room for Sasha to come in and get used to playing 10. Now you've got Yakin coming up and
listen, there's a Johannesburg franchise that could do with an extra 10. So I'm very happy for them to give us Yakin or Sasha. We'll take either. We will take either.
But another guy, look, a bit of a negative. Yes, Yakin well played. Another youngster that was there who, very unfortunate. I don't even know what happened. I don't know if there was an underlying sort of factor, or was it just fate, or was it, what can you call it? He was literally just turning around, and I thought it was his Achilles in terms of just how abrupt it happened.
So for those of you who didn't see it, Imad Khan, about 4 minutes in, was running towards a ruck, and literally his foot was even kind of in the air, the foot that actually went, and he just, and I actually heard it when I was watching. I heard, like, you heard the scream, and you can always, if anyone's played rugby or any sport and someone's done their Achilles or something, first of all, when you hear their Achilles, it sounds like a gunshot.
Yeah.
And you just and there's a certain scream or that somebody, and you'll know, that's done.
Ego's is off. You are just feeling pain. So again, another situation where we'll hear: is it an MCL? Is it an ACL? All of those CLs, or is it a meniscus? Or we don't know. I mean, a lot of things happening in the knee. But I think apart from Yakin, I think the Stormers as well will be happy about that performance. I think. I mean, again, the viewers should be, or the listeners should be aware that the URC is starting a bit earlier this year, starting on the 25th of September. So that's what, if you're looking at the date now, it's the 10th of August. When Lions play, which will be the last club game, that'll be the 25th, I think it is, of August. There's literally a month. And then the URC kicks off. So listening to Dobo and how he has sat down and planned how now they're going to go home, rest, and then sort of restart the preseason. If this was your midpoint, your halfway point of the preseason, I think they're looking good. I think the Stormers are really looking good, and pretty excited to see Yakin play in the URC, because there is no other place for him to play now. Play the All Blacks, go play URC.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and I mean, and I mean, Yuri Matia had a very nice season last year. I mean, they were playing some of their best rugby when he was at 10 in the first half of the season. So yeah, I mean, an embarrassment of riches, really, from a Stormers point of view. But it's a good point in terms of, and that's what Duran Nel said. He said, we basically had to get into preseason, build up towards this game. He says we have a week off, and then we were kind of back into a preseason. So you always have warm-up games in and around your preseason, but to have something like that, to really be able to stretch yourself and stretch the legs out and see where you're at, and to get information, because you could sit there saying, okay, I mean, our plan is to play Yakin a bit in the URC, but where is he? Because I think, and I mean, we need to be very careful when it comes to our young players. We look at our under-20s, and they are a different level. They're also still 19 and 20. So we've got to find that balance between bringing them up. Also, and I keep laughing, we can't just discard the other, like, 15 years worth of players that are in there. So many players. It's like the whole Hashim Pete situation. And everybody's sitting there saying the Lions just don't know how to develop youngsters because Hashim Pete doesn't play. I'm like, well, first of all, the Lions have got the youngest squad in the country. Second of all, look at the players, the youngsters who are coming through. And third of all, this whole Hashim P's being wasted. He's 21 years old. 22, I think, now. And they even asked him, and he said no. He says he's very happy where he is in the journey. He says he's taking steps forward. He's learning, and that he's getting some experience, and he knows that when he gets the chance, this is what he needs to work on. And I think he's going to be an absolute superstar. But I've also seen that there are fundamentals in this game that he needs to improve on. And we are too quick to look at certain things when it's under 20 players and say, cool, they're ready, off we go. And I think that would have been a nice barometer, because Yakin looks very comfortable at under 20 level, look like a level above. But there are steps to the game at the end of the day. So now you can look at him and say, no, well, look, he does look ready at this level. Is he ready to play to start a test match for South Africa tomorrow at Ellis Park with 85? Probably not. But we've got to be patient with these under 20 players. We've got to bring them out, and we've got to protect them as well.
But I think another one that on the flip of that coin, the game, Vernon Matonga. The prop.
Yes.
I think on the flip on that coin, that game would have been also an eye-opener for maybe senior guys who maybe haven't gotten the look in enough, but who showed not just Dobson, Adobo, but even Rassi, to say, hey, there's something here. Vernon was the set piece, I think, just in general of the Stormers. Their mauling, we know how their mauls are. They dominated quite a bit. I mean, beginning of the URC season last year, they won, 7 games on the trot. And it was their maul. I mean, the maul was dominant. And I mean, I guess the All Blacks will definitely fix those with maybe changing some personnel and whatnot. But again, on the other side of that coin, yes, the youngsters coming in, but also some senior guys, older guys who may have probably picked up a hand, not necessarily even for Springboks, but just, again, going into the new URC season.
Yeah, and I think this is what this is so incredible about this tour, is you go and make yourself a local hero. And I think Vernon Matonga was brilliant on Friday night, and I think he's a player who, it's interesting because Dobbo's really rated him. We've watched quite a bit, but I've never watched a game where he's sort of smashed the door down and I go, oh, hang on, there's a player there. But Friday night he did exactly that, and he is a nice young player. And to do that, I mean, Pasita Tosi, for example, on the flip end, a lot of All Blacks fans are probably sitting there saying, well, if you can't handle the Stormers loose head, what are you going to do when you've got, if we manage to find a bionic knee for Ox and get him out there? But your Gerard Steenekamps, your Jan Hendricks, the likes of that. That's probably also the word to the Sharks players tomorrow night, your Bulls players on Saturday, your Lions players. Go and make a name for yourself. Especially, I think, the Lions who've got the most, they'll have the closest to and the most complete squad. And there are lots of Lions players there who have been knocking on the door, Henk van Beek, Franco Horn, who haven't quite been able to get that call up to the box. And I think Henk van Beek's more injury related. Franco Horn, for me, has been one of the most consistent performers. Doesn't necessarily suit the Bok game plan. But Kwaka Smith had a similar kind of thing when people said that. And he had a man of the match performance for the Barbarians against the All Blacks. And we all had to sit there saying, well, so that's where you can. Even if you are a senior player at 28, 29 years old, but you haven't had a look in the box, you go and do it against the All Blacks. And it becomes very difficult to ignore that kind of performance. So before we move into the next segment, to all the young players and senior players, any player playing against the All Blacks tomorrow night, Saturday, for the Lions, put in a shift. It's an opportunity for you to put yourself on the radar because a big game there, and they can't ignore you. But speaking of the Sharks tomorrow night, we're not going to go into the All Blacks team quite yet as to the one that will be probably putting on quite a few points. But X, you're going to have to look into the shops about getting in a new jersey because all your stuff is currently out of date. The Sharks have had a rebrand, and your thoughts on that after the break.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
How do you feel that you're no longer a Sharks, I think they were officially just the Sharks fan, but you are now a Sharks Rugby Club fan?
Yeah. It got me doing a bit of research. I was a bit taken aback. What is the difference between a franchise and a rugby club? Is that a step up, being a rugby club and
ironically, they're a rugby club, but they are a franchise because the model is still a franchise. But yes, they've called themselves a club.
Yeah, so look, I wasn't too, when I saw it happen, and if you do follow me on social media, especially Instagram,
at X Reacting to Rugby, you can plug yourself, don't you?
Yeah, on X Reacting to Rugby. I mean, look, a little bit of a history. I mean, me being X Reacting to Rugby was just me just always being passionately going off at the Sharks on social media, on my stories. And for me, I've always just wanted to see a change within the Shark camp. It did feel for me that it never really was about the personnel. A lot of people were sad seeing, look, you are going to be sad when Luan Khilumi signs for the Bulls. I feel like that's one player we should have held on. But when we saw the Seers leaving and a lot of the senior guys leaving, Apelele going to Japan, I wasn't too phased because I strongly believe that what we need to fix is not it's not the players on the field. We've got a lot of players. We've got some guys. We've got a guy called Lorenzo Julius who hasn't really done anything crazy since he's under 20.
I mean, what we were hyping Yakin and Sasha, for example, he was the talking point in his years of under 20.
Yeah, I mean, Lorenzo was, when social media was getting into this game, Lorenzo Julius was there.
Schoolboy Prodigy, the whole thing.
Yeah. So for me, the change itself, I don't mind it at all. But again, I cannot be ignorant of the history. It does look like when you look at the branding of the Sharks, first things first, SRC. I don't think they did enough research there. Student rugby.
Yeah, clearly not enough that they went to university or had SLCs at school.
Immediately, I went on Instagram and I searched the hashtag SRC and I was just scrolling, seeing what pops up. Look, the Sharks have sort of come in and dominated that hashtag, but wait until the new SRC is announced at all the universities, then things are going to get weird. SRC in South Africa, guys, so anyone listening outside of the country, Student Representative Council, it's a body within universities that take the concerns of the students. It's a little bit political, quite a bit political. I always looked at it as a gateway into politics anyway through the schooling system, but nonetheless, we're not going to dwell about that. The Sharks, it does look like with their branding as well, they are moving away from the shark itself as an animal. They are moving more onto the water. It's the new wave. It's the tide. Everything is now about the water.
I think that's probably the part I didn't like because I think that maybe I'm being nostalgic, but I also think in the days of AI and the whole thing, we're moving away from a lot of your sort of your legacy concepts and the like of that. And as a fan, I just think sometimes I miss some of the fandom. I miss being a kid and being excited to see the lion mascot
Yeah.
and the Sharks mascot. And I know that they've still got an icon, but I do think it's sad moving away from the shark itself being the little badge there.
No, look, it is it's a crazy transformation. I mean, we did see the Stormers do it. We're potentially going to see some other franchises do it. But I mean, the Stormers sort of reimagined the S. A lot of people were but we got rid of the shark completely.
Yeah.
The shark with the rugby ball, it is now just 3 letters in sort of a, and I think Rock Nation will never catch slack because immediately a lot of the comments were about, oh, this is so NFL-y, this is, such an American influence. And obviously, I think if anything, I always say this when I give up, we cannot stand still.
Yeah.
Things are changing. The game is improving. The game is evolving. Yes, a lot of people are saying Sharks are now like a marketing sort of company. I mean, look at their social media.
There was a I don't want to get it wrong. I don't know if it was the Harlequins. One of the owners in the Prem said, "We are not a rugby club. We are a marketing agency that plays rugby."
Yeah, Harlequins. And again, talking about the North, we played Cell Sharks, Stevie. And our CEO, who's still our CEO, is it Marco Mazzotti? Is it?
Yeah.
He put the challenge to Sale Sharks, saying one of us needs to let go of the name.
Oh, and you lost, didn't you?
One of us is tuna. I think this is our way of accepting that loss completely.
Maybe there was actually a genuine bet,
Yeah,
and we lost, and we went, oh shit! Now we actually have to. Well, we've solved it. We've solved it.
Yeah.
I must actually go try and find that result.
Yeah.
Because if they did lose it, then maybe that's exactly it. They lost the right to the Sharks.
But if anything, it will take a while. There will be fight back.
They did lose.
Yeah, no, we definitely lost.
Yeah.
You could have asked me; I would have told you.
Yeah, well, there we go. So that was it. All the speculation, it's gone. They lost the right to the shark.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If this does translate onto the field, I did see there was a nice video that was done. Tandem Taurira doing a voiceover talking about the Sharks, sort of, it kind of gave me that feeling that they're also internally doing that whole relink. How do the Sharks, how does the Sharks and Durban, where's the correlation? How do we get the community involved? Who do we play this game for? And all those type of things. And I think if this rebrand is going to give us a platform to re-communicate those things with the players, with the staff, and we have a different outlook, a different why as to why we're doing certain things. And I mean, a why doesn't necessarily mean we'll win every time. If we compare the biggest why that we are all familiar with in South Africa, which is the Springboks' why, even this past weekend, it wasn't a great performance. Even when we lose, it's always about the people of South Africa understanding that they have a privilege of calling losing a scrum a problem, because we've got bigger problems in the canal. Not to say that the Sharks or all the franchises should jump on that bandwagon, but I think the psychology behind the why within the camp, whether you've got I know in high school we were about family. We went to Wimpy, we sat down, shared stories from each and one of us, and all our stories were not negative. Not all of us went through hardship, but understanding the guy next to you, making that tackle for the guy next to you. I think those are the things that need to be re-established at the Sharks. So I'm happy with the rebrand. It does look nice. I'm happy with Reebok as well. Reebok, have you seen some of the apparel and how much it costs?
I actually we had a very interesting discussion this weekend regarding the whole apparel costs, and I'm actually decided I quite like the fact that everything is stupidly expensive these days, because now I don't even consider it. It's become so out of touch. It's not even I like that, but it's a bit expensive, because yes, you're not getting much out of that store from under 1,000 rand.
Yeah. So look, I'm happy. I'm happy. A lot of people won't be. Like I said on my video on Instagram, X Reacting to Rugby, I am just from the era of Akona Ndungane, Odwa Ndungane, AJ Fenter, Lwazim Vovo.
Yeah, Kanko, King Daniels, the lads, Roy Cockett. Those cult Sharks heroes.
So I don't think it cuts as deep as someone who's been with the Sharks from the 90s, 80s, 70s, which will be a bit different for them. But hey,
look, there are a franchise that have gone through many a rebrand. Even they did a refresh in inverted commas a few years ago. I think the biggest frustration is that for a while they've kind of peddled a lot of narrative. We are different. We are this. We see color. The whole putting rocks into things. They had a lot of these different campaigns, but because it hasn't translated on the pitch, everyone's kind of sat there saying, well, we actually don't really care what you're doing off the pitch, get it on the pitch right. So that's probably the big thing at the moment, is if people is always going to be hesitant to change. If you can start winning, people kind of start to really, and if it is genuine reset and everything is going to suddenly going to change, I think people can get behind it. What I think people get frustrated at is if this is just lip service and we go and do a rebrand and it's all very fancy, and then you don't actually see genuine change that's happening. Because I think, you know, the Box did a bit of that, where obviously it was a big PR campaign when Rusty came in and we said, right, stronger together, stronger forever, we're going to build this inverted commas, and because we translate it on the field, then it becomes this PR absolute gold. But if we'd gone with this whole stronger together, stronger forever, etc., and off we go, and then you lose 3 games of the World Cup and you're out, people don't like the PR anymore. But we've been ranting and raving all episode, and now we're going to be moving into the 60-second rant, and I'm going to get this in early because after this we're going to have to really listen to how X is mentally preparing for what's going to go through tomorrow night on the Greatest Rivalry Tour. Basically, every single week, though, we have a 60-second rant where you are given 60 seconds, either myself or X. I last week had to rant about speaking to parents of schoolboy rugby players and basically about just calming down. And the topic for this week's 60-second rant, and X was not particularly impressed with me because I think it's a bit more difficult than maybe mine was. But basically, you have got 60 seconds with the South African rugby president. You're in his office. He has to give you these 60 seconds of time, and you can basically say whatever you need to say, get it off your chest. That is the 60-second rant. And moving forward, by the way, we will be putting this out on social media, and we want to get your rants in and hopefully see if we can maybe put you guys up against it and see who's got a 60-second rant. Maybe we'll even go a bit of a you have to go pro, you have to go against, and we'll put them together and throw it to the comments. But this is X's 60-second rant about if you had 6 seconds with the SA Rugby CEO. Coming up.
The 60-second rant on the FS Breakfast Club.
All right, Mr. Mark Alexandra, this is X. Nice to meet you. And I think if I'm talking to you, I have to start by saying thank you. Since coming on 2019, a lot has changed and there's been a lot of focus on the Springboks. The Springboks has governed the country now, but we need to have a foothold over the other games within South Africa. We are losing touch with our local game, Mr. Alexandra. We need to be quick. We need to redefine things like the Currie Cup. We need to give a bit of value back to the local game. Let's have a situation where we can see some Springbok guys playing for the local in the Currie Cup. It is a long-winded one, but if anything, I just want to say thank you for what you've done so far. But there's a couple of things that we do need to sort out within the local space of rugby.
My man didn't even need 60 seconds. Off we go. Thank you. I agree. And fair. And this is also the thing. You know, we've done so much good over the last few years. The Box, obviously, at a different level. I do think there's a lot to sort out below that. I think we had a situation. Schoolboy rugby is, in terms of rugby players, pulling through phenomenal players, and at a university level, Varsity Cup's working. But I think between Varsity Cup, URC, and the Springboks, Currie Cup First Division, Currie Cup, Club Rugby, there's a lot that needs to be sorted. And I think Club Rugby, I always liken it, and I always think that football is such an amazing sport because you've got the idea that a club can go from being the small community club to right to the top at the moment. Yeah. And I think that we lose that a bit with club cricket, but much more we lose that with club rugby. And club rugby is such a vibe in South Africa. The other day, I went past the club game, and I keep saying I need to get to club games, but they always clash with the URC games. They're difficult to watch, but there's so much talent out there, and just in terms of your level of the game and building the game, we've got to try and sort the club system out, as well as what the Currie Cup sort of is going to be. So fair enough. Well, we'll send it. I'll email. I don't really have his email address, but let me just pop it to Mark Alexander and see what he has to say. The big one coming up this week, though, just in the last few minutes, by the way, get any sort of thoughts on that into the comments. And I want to ask you what you guys' score predictions are for tomorrow night. But the final, as we wrap up the show, we've got a big Rugby's Greatest Rivalry match coming up tomorrow, as well as one this weekend. and it's going to be very, very interesting.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
X, I'm going to keep it simple. The All Blacks have named a pretty good side for tomorrow night. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many blood pressure tablets did you have to consume when that 23 came out?
About 10. I think
all of them. There's a full box just being downed. Try and get through. It's going to be a long night tomorrow night. I unfortunately foresee. I hope I'm wrong.
Look, we did say it. I mean, if you look at how these fixtures are laid out, it's easy to assume that maybe the second club game will be the game that they wanted to play. A lot of the guys they would like to play in that first test. Yes, the Bulls game is a full 7 days away. It's on Saturday. They play the first test on Saturday. But I did think that second test, I don't think this is about the Sharks, although I kind of did make it about blaming the Sharks, saying, why did you guys pick Ma'anonu? That's what you get for having Ma'anonu as your number 23. We heard, I forget the brother's name, the selector, Sir Graham Henry. He did say, like, look, the guy, he's going to bring it. He's going to bring it to the All Blacks. Yeah, look, the Sharks, it'll be a long one. Score prediction? Is that what you want me to give you? I don't know.
I'm not sure I'm that cruel, but what would be a successful night for you?
A successful night is bringing the fight back. A successful night would be, not to say, because it's definitely not the same team that the Stormers played, but just let's not get any 50s. Let's have a game where the 80s, well, not 80, because that would be the whole game. Let's say 60 to 70 minutes of the game. Let's be in it. Let's walk out of the game with the All Blacks having questions that they need to answer about their game. Let's walk out, and the Sharks fans are a little bit optimistic with the rebranding, with the new coach who will now obviously start the season as the head coach in JP Peterson. There's a lot of room. We're not expecting a win, but looking at that starting lineup, yeah, that is as A-team as it can get where we are in the tours so far. I mean, Will Jordan is not there. I think that would have been the nail in the coffin if Will was at wing or fullback.
Yeah, probably just as well that Arnie decided not to travel, because if he could have thrown him into the mix there as well. But it is a very, very strong All Black side. Well, who knows? And as I said, for all the Sharks players, make a name for yourself. But that's unfortunately all we have time for this week on the FS Breakfast Club. I know time flies when you're having fun, hey? But yeah, absolutely buzzing to see what happens tomorrow night. Ma'anonu up against the All Blacks is going to be amazing. The Bulls on Saturday, I'm expecting to see a pretty good Bulls side as well at altitude. So they've got that sort of 16th player as well. And then we're ready to move into test match season. Coming up in the week, we've obviously got the Mad Show, which will be dropping on Thursday this week, unfortunately, because of the Rugby's Greatest Rivalry. We decided to put all that on a Tuesday, so we've had to delay recording for a week. Obviously, we'll have watch-alongs of all the Rugby's Greatest Rivalry matches. And if you want to then go and check out what's happening after the matches, Extra Reacting in Rugby is got a lot of things to talk about at the moment. It's quite easy as a content creator now, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot to talk about. And I mean, again, I do know that Ma'anonu is the talk of that 23, but let's not forget of Zakete Lucia at fullback. Let's not forget of Vusi Moyo at number 10. And also Nick Hatton, youngster captaining the team. I think he's also a guy who's got a lot on his shoulders going into this fixture tomorrow. But
yeah, a couple of boxes as well that have been sent back. And hopefully we'll see Vincent fit. But I think a couple of boxes that the Sharks would definitely like to have brought a few back. But everybody else, thank you very much for joining in. Please do smash a like on the day. Please do subscribe to the channel as well, the FS Breakfast Club, every Monday here on Forever Sports. And we'll see you in a week.
The FS Breakfast Club, every Monday from 10:30 with Stevie P and X reacting to rugby. Live and exclusively on Forever Sports.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Sports. The Sharks have gone and done it. Ma'anonu is officially part of the Matchday 23 to face the All Blacks in Rugby's Greatest Rivalry clash next week Tuesday between the Sharks and the All Blacks. And it was an interesting idea or possibility that presented itself when the Sharks announced the signing of the veteran player. I'm not sure that any people actually expected it to happen, and yet it will indeed happen. And it's not a particularly strong Sharks side, very much youngster driven, But what an interesting little subplot that it is to the match, that the player who won World Cups in the black of the All Blacks will take on the black of the Sharks to take on the All Blacks. And I'd love to go and see how many times, if ever, we have seen a player play against their home nation in a tour match like this, because it really is a very unique situation. Before we get into the main team and speak about exactly who has been selected and who has not been selected, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. This is the 23 that has been named by J.D. Peterson, and as mentioned, very much full of youngsters, a couple of big players, but far from a full-strength Sharks side, which we knew was always going to be the case with lots of players involved with the box. Good to see that some players have been released from the box and will feature, but some big absentees in the form of no Bongi Mbonambi in that number 2 jersey, no Maxwell Mapimpi. So those are two really, really big absentees, but obviously also a lot of your regular URC players missing out as well. So it's an interesting side, and it'll be interesting to sort of see what the reaction is going to be with regards to the kind of side that's been picked. I think you look at the Stormers side this evening, and it is pretty much probably as strong as they can get within the circumstances. Looking at the side that the Lions are probably set to put out against the All Blacks, also very much a URC full strength side. This is very much a bit of a combination. So if you look at the side, in the front row, it is Nima Rusa, Edwin Swart, and Vincent Koch in the front row. How much they'll need the likes of Vincent Koch to stand up. You then got Hendrik Stassen and Emil van Heerden. So it's a pretty inexperienced tight 5 overall, quite young and full of sort of the young up-and-coming players. The good news for them, though, is very experienced loose trio in Pepsi Buthelezi, Monich Tuka, and Nick Hatton, who will captain the side in the number 8 jersey. And I think we'll need to have a very good game if they are to give the All Blacks some sort of a bit of a go. Then if you look at the back line, it's a decent back line. This is where I think it's a bit more probably exciting. When you've got Bradley Davis next to Vusi Moya, big pressure. Now Vusi Moya is coming in here as a test match player. He'll be expected to run and guide this back line and to sort of see how he can translate his experience in the Bok camp into the Sharks side. The main thing I think for us is that we get to sort of see where he is, and this is the exciting thing even this evening, with the Yakin Ahmed. These are 2 young players, under 20 players, who one was at the World Cup or the World Championship, one missed out on the World Championship, but that kind of shows you the age group level they are at. So these games against the All Blacks is a bit of a mini test match in terms of you are playing against test players. You are playing against a test team. It might not be a test match, but it's as close as you're going to get, really. It's and you get to play for your franchise, but you test yourself. So that's the whole thing. It's all set up for the All Blacks to win. What can you do to change that? And what can you do to sort of really stand up? So similarly, for example, youngsters like Alita Besta, Lorenzo Julius, Zekatelo Sayaya back from concussion. Those are really exciting young players who have got big Springbok ambitions. A big miss was Nojako Williams, who misses out due to injury. So, that over there, for example, is a really big miss on the team sheet. Murray Costa, Donovan Don. Donovan Don's a player who has not really had much of a franchise career. Obviously done very good things in the 7 circuit, bit of a Currie Cup legend at a stage, and, has had a very interesting journey to where he is. Starting on the wing, though, he'll be a bit of an unknown to a certain degree. And then off the bench, you've got Leon van Wyk, Rambo, Quebeca, Simbiwa, Ingobesi. Then you've got Vincent Tuka, Matramau, very, very talented player. Ivan van Zyl, Leon Guillaume, and Marnani. So what a combination of a Springbok in Vincent Tuka and Ivan van Zyl, former Springbok. Well, you never really former Springbok, but played quite a few years ago, but very talented and a big signing, I think, for the Sharks. You've then got the likes of Leon Guillaume, Matramau, very talented youngsters, and then you've got the experience of one of the best centers, arguably the best inside center of all time, to come off the bench. And the fact that, Lorenzo Julius, and that's the whole story they've been kind of peddling, is going to be a really cool feature on Tuesday. A lot of reaction, though, is that this has all been one big publicity stunt, the whole Marnani signing, for exactly this reason. And that, this was kind of the main reason he's come over here to get this opportunity. Now, he will be here for the rest of the year from the sounds of it. It is a short-term contract. I don't quite think it's a one-match-and-done contract. I really hope not. That kind of makes it a bit pointless. But a lot of people sort of saying that, has this now watered down? It was this literally a case of, oh, cool, we can do something cool. Is this a big publicity stunt? They've had the rebrand. of the badge. Now they've named Marnani a day later in the side, take on the All Blacks. It's probably the biggest rugby story right now. And they get to do it at a time when they've done a rebrand, the likes of that. So a lot of people talking about the fact that this could be a very big marketing spin. But I genuinely think that there are rugby reasons to having a Marnani around your squad, providing that we do see the value post this match. I don't mind him playing. A lot of people are saying that this should be an opportunity for the youngster. I do think it's quite a cool story. There's an opportunity for him to play against the All Blacks. It is very unique. And equally, I think how cool to be able to have the insight from him going into the match to say, all right, guys, when we see the haka, this is what it's all about. This is what to expect. He's going to face the haka. How incredible is that? Marnani is going to face the haka. So it's a really, really interesting position to be in, and really exciting to see how this all sort of plays out. What are your thoughts? Good thing, bad thing? Are you in for it? Are you out for it? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon. We are sitting at just under 20 minutes left until kickoff. And people, there's plenty of opportunity for you to really get involved on the match day stream. This is the whole point, is for you guys to get involved. So lots of people in the chat, and what we actually have running, by the way, which is a lot of fun, is every week now, we are basically running a situation where, depending on your interaction and stuff like that on the channel and the likes of that, you can actually be part of the stream itself, because every week we are building a match day 23 where something looks a little bit something like that. And that is made from you people, the top people who are commenting, getting involved in the chat. Go into our opposition 23, and they are the challengers. And basically, our top chatters and interactors will go into a final match day 3 for the next game and the likes of that. So all these people getting involved and getting their points on their likes. So get yourself into the chat. Get your score predictions and let me know where you think this game is going, because there's a lot to sort of pick apart, really. And the big question, I suppose, for sort of Sharks fans is what would be a respectable scoreline? What would be a situation where you sit there and go, yeah, that's a good result, or that's all right, or that's a good showing, and which players are we really looking forward to? I'm going to have a look at the two sides in a bit. We obviously just spoke about the Sharks side and the All Blacks side. Well, goodness me, is it pretty strong. And what's interesting as well is, every sort of game now for Dave Rennie, you have a certain amount of got to get players through it. Already lost 2 players from the tour. Billy Proctor ruled out, and waiting to see exactly what that sort of situation is going to be. Lots of people talking about, are we going to see Richie Mwanga, coming in and getting involved there. So, yeah, there's lots of different potentials that they can kind of go with. Obviously, Artie Savia not yet in the squad, so a couple of players who we expect to sort of join up with the All Blacks over the next couple of days ahead of the first test on the 22nd of August. And I believe that Artie Savia will be joining up, I think tomorrow. I think he flies in. Actually, they said about 10 days out from the first test. Obviously, get accustomed to the altitude, which would put in there tomorrow. And some interesting news, by the way, in terms of the rest of the week before we really get involved in tonight. We will be at the All Blacks on Thursday. So you've got some training footage coming onto the channel, as well as press conferences from Dave Rennie. We were at the Bulls today. We've got the press conference from Johan Ackerman up on the channel. Also some interesting chat coming from Marcel Kutsia going on the channel tomorrow, as well as some training footage from the Bulls. And we're also going to be at an All Black signing session on Friday, which should be quite cool as well. So all your sort of encouragement and stuff right here on Forever Sports. And I had a couple of people with some score predictions earlier. Where are we with that, people? How are we feeling about sort of the score predictions, and how big of a game are we expecting? Matt Hunter says he reckons 42 points to 25. High scoring game. At the moment, the weather not really playing its part. If we're going to be brutally honest, it is cold and wet down in Durban. To be fair, it's cold and wet across the entire South Africa. I was at the Bulls training today, and goodness me, it was absolutely perishing. So interesting to sort of see how those conditions play its part, really, this evening, because we always talk about rain as being the ultimate leveler, and Matthew Carley, the man in the middle, 41-year-old from the UK, will be I think very busy this evening. We're probably expecting quite a few knock-ons and the likes of that. We're expecting probably quite a very kicking orientated game because of the weather. Lots of wind, very, very wet, and that can provide a bit of a platform for the Sharks. The big thing now is going to be the set piece, isn't it? I mean, the set piece battle was going to be big anyway. It's always big when it comes to these sort of games, and tonight, arguably bigger than ever. At least it looks like the rain has quietened down. No, I've actually they're still seeing some rain coming down there. So yeah, it's going to be very, very wet. A lot of the groundsmen still out there repairing the pitch and stuff. Not a particularly big crowd in, and that is unfortunately very much weather related. Obviously a Tuesday evening fixture, so it wasn't going to be the biggest crowd anyway, and with the rain, a lot of people have retreated up into the covered stand, so not ideal weather. But on Saturday, the good news is at Loftus, the weather is looking a lot better, so hopefully we will see a nice big crowd. And the Bulls have also said that they will be naming a very strong side on Saturday, which is also very good to hear, and hopefully Jan Ackerman and his side can put up a nice bit of a fight. So we're about just over 10 minutes out here. And in terms of the schedule, by the way, so I've got the Bulls on Saturday at 7 o'clock. Bit of an interesting kickoff time that for a Saturday game. Then we've got the Box next week, Saturday at 7 o'clock as well in the first test. After that, they stay in Johannesburg and play against the Lions before they then travel down to Cape Town for the second test before returning back to Johannesburg for the final test in South Africa. And then there's a fourth additional test, which will take place obviously in Baltimore in the USA as part of take rugby to the USA and try and grow it, etc., etc., etc. So interesting in terms of the schedule itself, and I suppose for the All Blacks, it's about getting these players through these next few weeks. So going to some of the comments, what everybody got to say. Saif Khan saying, if the young Sharks side could stand up all the physicality to the All Blacks, we could have a game in our hands. The weather is shocking in Durbs. No one's playing slick rugby tonight. Oh yeah, I mean, ironically, we've just spent the last couple of days talking about the Bok game plan and the box kick and what to do, etc., etc. This is conditions for exactly that. This is really going to be an arm wrestle. So before we look at the All Black side, key players for the Sharks this evening, and we'll have a look at exactly where some of those sort of those players are. But the likes of a Jurens Julius at number 13, big player to watch. In the pack, obviously Vincent Koch will be trying to lead the scrummaging charge. Double World Cup winner over there. And then you've got the likes of a Pepsi Buthelezi, Cat Springbok, Emmanuel Tutuka been called up to a box squad as well. Vusi Moyo, Cat Springbok as well recently. Italy Klabesta, one of the youngsters from an 20 sides a couple of years ago. And then Zikatelo Siyaya, well, that is really the man to watch. Unfortunately, again, not really weather conducive to him being able to get a good run in and have a go, but a very exciting player, good skill set over there, and plenty of talent. In the engine room, Hendry Stassen and Dion Slabbert, a late change, by the way. No Emil van Heerden and no Vincent Suka, who was set to feature off the bench this evening. Unfortunately, due to a concussion, he will not play. And let's be honest, not the strongest side. Big opportunity though this evening for Nick Hatton to captain the side, and what a moment to be able to do that, to be able to come and captain your union against the All Blacks. By the way, these sides have met before. All Blacks winning 5, Sharks winning. All Blacks winning 4, Sharks drawing just the 1. If you look at the recent 4, All Blacks obviously on quite a big winning streak at the moment. They are starting to put together, and under Dave Rennie definitely sort of looks like a different type of team. But this is definitely the conditions that don't really suit the Dave Rennie style of rugby. I was there and speaking to Jan Ackerman earlier today, and he spoke about the fact that they played against the Chiefs side of Dave Rennie coach, and he said they were slick, fast, running rugby orientated, really like to really up the tempo. So it's not really conditions that are conducive to that sort of style of play. So it is going to make life a bit more interesting in terms of having to be able to adapt to the conditions. And we know that we go back to all those years and the games that we've seen in Durban, where we almost obviously didn't get a game against France. But yeah, I mean, Corne Roll coming onto the bench is a nice big player to have. I'm not entirely sure why I wasn't involved in the first place, but Ivan van Zyl is a nice experienced player. The excitement of Leon Giome, who is a very exciting youngster. But then obviously the big talk of the town is Moinonu in the number 23 jersey. Interesting to see sort of when and where we might see him feature this evening. And obviously this game was probably a big part of when he was sort of signed, that he was going to be involved in this over here. But with about 10 minutes to go, we have a look at the All Black side. When we come back, we'll look at the last couple of matchups and some of the sort of split all predictions. Then we're going to go into our anthems as well as the haka, and then we will have kickoff. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll see you in a bit. done, and we are about to get underway. And by the way, if you're not managed to see that, Marnoni, by the way, putting in a reply. We've just had the All Blacks haka, and Marnoni himself then stepping forward and doing one by himself ahead to lay down the challenge from the Sharks to the All Blacks. And I mean, for a franchise that loves a bit of marketing, we're going to see that that haka from Marnoni for many a few moments ahead. But we are just about to get a kickoff, people. So please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Last opportunity to get your predictions in. And let me know where you are watching from. What you think we're going to see in this game. And any big... What are your big takes? Your hot takes? Really? You know, where do you think we're going to go? What is the big things? In terms of matchups for this evening, this is kind of what I'm looking at. And... obviously, a big battle of the scrum-offs in Bradley Davis versus Carl Preston. But Ruben Love versus Vusi Moya, that's going to be a really cool battle. The youngster versus a player who's not had that much opportunity in the All Blacks jersey, but now sort of seemingly seems to be on the road to becoming the #1 choice within the All Blacks. And so a big opportunity for Ruben Love, but an equally big opportunity for Vusi Moya as we do get underway down in Durban. Sharks playing left to right, and it's already a bit of an awkward kickoff because of the weather, as Jordy Barrett eventually managed to field and kicks it downfield, does not find touch. And are we going to see a bit of a run here from Zekatila? So that, yeah, we are. He's going to chip over ahead, and Carl Preston on the ball well, but good to have coming from CA. And big counter coming here from the Sharks. You have turned it over. Penalty advantage as well for the Sharks. Well, how's that for a start? Now to the right-hand side they go. Back inside. Nice line being run there by Donovan Don. Now Manstuka. Big hit there coming on Deon Slaver, but there's another penalty advantage here from the for the Sharks. And an opportunity for Vusi Moya. Goes himself. All Black discipline was really poor on Friday, and already we're seeing them kind of get back to that poor discipline, and it's going to be a big issue if they continue to be penalized this many times. But that's a really nice start from the Sharks. Chip over the top from the CIA. The counter ruck was good. Big pressure on there. They conceded the penalty, and now the Sharks, well, surely we just pop it to the corner and have a bit of a dip here. Little Miss Big Boots saying, was just thinking the same clear media bit happening there with the haka reply. Yeah, I mean, it's the Sharks. It's the Sharks. I mean, it's not the Sharks unless there's some sort of TikTok moment, isn't there? Yeah, that's what they're all about at the moment. Look, if they have a good game today, then fair enough. But in terms of what are we saying, Kwood Publishing records 72 points to 14. Mountain Man's got a little bit less. Said All Blacks 70, Sharks 10. And Derek very taken aback by the one-man haka. And Emmanuel Chituka goes up, and it's a good line there from the Sharks. We're going to try and get the rolling more. The Dormers rolling more is very good on Friday, but this has been well stopped by the All Blacks. Barry Davis looking at options. Now a bit of a second shove coming through. And they do break away into the Sharks going through. On the ball, there is Safa Amur. I think those two. The ball is available for Bradley Davids. Can the Sharks get an early try here? Nick Hatton. Sorry, Murray Costa, in fact, who has a go. Ball available. Pepsi Buthelezi. Back inside goes Henry Stassen, and now Emmanuel Chituka. He'll be one of the big players. Well, there we go. He already gets away from one. Knocked backwards at the referee. Back to Pepsi Buthelezi. On a bit of pressure. But coped with well under the Luke Jameson. Now Barry Davis goes across and almost swinging half a gap. Around the corner they go. Emmanuel Chituka gets up another go. Pick up and go, and he's just short as he can. No, Stassen needs to try and recycle this. They're over the line, but trying to get the ball back. Oh, held up is the call. Held up is the call. Well, that could have been the absolute perfect start from the Sharks, but how positive is that? Plenty of phases there. Some nice big carries. Right, down the thing. And Chituka will be the one to run it straight and makes a good hit there. Pick up and go there. Half a gap opening up. And it's the captain, Hatton, who sees that opportunity. Ball available now. To the left-hand side goes Donovan Don. Stassen chosen goes. Already carried a few times. Now ball over the top, and it's a tester, and it's awkwardly, but it's very well taken in the end by Damien McKenzie. So well marked by Damien McKenzie, but positive start for this from the Sharks. And I think a little bit. Oh, now this is where you get worried because Damien McKenzie's gone down and he's up and limping, and the medic's chained to him. He's asking for a bit of time. But this is where I say that, and I did a video about can the All Blacks survive South Africa in inverted commas, and it wasn't so much in terms of the results. It's can they get the squad safely through up to the first test. They've already lost Billy Proctor. Now Damien McKenzie is down. They lost. Oh, no, I've forgotten somebody as well that they've lost. This could be the third person to be injured if Damien McKenzie were to go off. Yeah, Bradley Davids or the back of the line goes to Boyce Moore, goes straight to the boot, and coming through on it is Donovan Don. That's well weighted by, and he hits it back. Backwards is the call from the referee into the hands, and then slapped out by Pepsi Buthelezi. So double knock on there from the two teams, but really good work there. And I'll tell you what, he had no intent on catching it. Donovan Don got up there and literally just jumped up to try and slap it back. So this is the thing. We've just seen the Boks deploy a kicking game not particularly well this weekend. Well, Vusi Moyo, first kick was a very good contestable. Yeah, he's off. See, this is the thing. Damien McKenzie, that could be him out. He's gone down, and in the first 5 minutes, Damien McKenzie's tour already looks in jeopardy because he's going to be strapped up here, but I think he's going to have to... I don't know if he's going to be able to continue here. He's going to try to play on from the looks of it. I would not be risking it. All right, big first scrum of the day, and that's a nice big shove coming from the All Blacks, and that's what they wanted to see. There's a response from the Friday, and downfield goes Geordie Barrett. That's a big boot. And decent bounce there, and back is Donovan Don, goes back towards Siaya. Siaya wants to run himself, though. Exciting play with ball in hand. Eventually brought down. And look at there's so much water being spilled up and down as the players go down. It's very, very wet over there. And it's Stassen once again. It's his fourth carry already. Now he's going to go to the boot. Grady Davis lifts it up. Pepsi Buthelezi will give chase. Donovan Don. Yeah, I said he's not even attempting to catch it. He's just going up to try and get his right hand up and try and knock it back. Anyway, Luke Jacobson on the ball. And the All Blacks have it. The first time really with ball in hand. And Ethan de Groot fires out to the left-hand side. Just sees he comes back inside as Caleb Clark. The All Blacks getting through some of the phases now. To the right-hand side goes Preston. Show and go. That's a nice big hit coming there. Good defense on Sam Darry. Now back towards the pocket is Ruben Love. Now he sees a bit of space on the left-hand side. Oh, it's a great kick. Absolutely brilliant kick from Ruben Love. He's fine space out wide. Don't think it'll be at 15-22. I'm pretty sure that originated from inside Sharks half. But it's a pinpoint kick that from him. And this will be the battle of the kicking game. You know, it's going to be a case of who's going to kick better. As much as people don't like it or whatever, the conditions will dictate exactly that. Amoa finds his marker. Now around the back goes Amoa. And then coming is Caleb Clark. Good tackle coming from Vusi. Out to the left-hand side, they go. Darry. And wins the breakdown. That's a brilliant steal. And it's the big man in the number 1 jersey. Nima Rulusa gets his first. Yeah, a bit of a wink there. Big win for him. And this is the thing, you saw Vernon Matonga on Friday make a name for himself, really go and show what he's about. Now we can see it over here. So it's a really good turnover here. So far, scoreless in the first 9 minutes in very, very wet conditions. From a territory point of view, All Blacks starting to get a bit of a better grip into the game. But so far, Sharks, well, not panicking so far. Mark B said doesn't like the new hold-up rule. And Little Miss Big Boots says, I had a moment there where I wanted to shout, come on, shake it off, but and then I remember I'm not watching football. Kaywood says, Durban, Monsoon, one-man haka, both teams in black. Yeah, I mean, literally. Who thought that? I could not understand that. I mean, the entire time, last week, I was saying that I'm assuming the All Blacks will be in their away kit. Because, Sharks being at home, and, you'd like to think that means that they would get a bit of a preference, and, the All Blacks can go play in a white for that. But no, apparently we're just playing in white and black and then all black. Because who thought that would be a good, especially now when it's wet. I mean, as soon as that white gets a bit dirty, you're not going to be able to see who's who here. But Emmanuel Stuka makes another good carry off the back of the line. And Brady Davis a bit of space to the top. Decides to ship over the top. It's not going to really bounce. Oh, it does tell you what. It did bounce up quite nice. He couldn't quite hold on to it, though. And we're going to go back. I think there was a penalty advantage for the Sharks. So there was indeed. We're going to go back for the penalty. But yeah, bold call to have the Sharks in black and white, and then keep the All Blacks in all black. I just don't see where that could ever become an issue. But what do we know, hey? What do we know? Right, Vusi Moyo needs to find a good touch finder. I'll tell you what, he's given that. My goodness, he has given that. As he kicked it, I thought, hang on, he's gone very, very fine there. Well, he's put them about 10 meters out. So they're 10 meters out after a phenomenal kick from Vusi Moyo. And they do find the man. Right, here comes Roly Moyo from the Sharks. Getting the ball back, and there's the core, and now they're going to have a bit of a go. And they're looking to break down the right-hand side. Brady Davis, however, is going to arrive. And down the left-hand side. Oh, it's a nice big carry. It's a nice big carry. They're coming from Edwin Swart. The big boy, Edwin. Now to the left-hand side, Davids. Nice soft hands. Hatton brought down. The captain, Brady Davis, to the left-hand side. Stassen once again on the angle. Good coming from Ethan de Groot. Brady Davis, first receiver, it's Vincent Koch. Driven backwards, though. Wallace Satiti getting involved. Now to the right-hand side. Manuel Shatuka. Pepsi Buthelezi behind him. Quick ball here, ready for Brady Davids. Back on the angle. And looks like Stassen might have lost his scrum cap there. Yeah, there it is lying there. Penalty advantage for the Sharks. And can't quite. So up right in front. Do they take the points? Do they take the points? Do they say, you know what, why don't we get ourselves a bit of a lead here? And they could say that we led the All Blacks. I mean, you're going to need more than 3 to beat them, as far as I'm concerned. So from that point of view, maybe not the best thing to try and take the to take the 3. And they're not taking the 3, by the way. They're going to go to the corner. So that's a big message that they're going to back themselves and say, well, you know what, let's see what we can do. And I like that. I like that. You're only going to play them potentially once, maybe twice in your life, unless you play for the Box. Because the next Greatest Rivalry Tour here will be in about 8 years' time. So obviously, like a Vusi Moyo will be 28. You could play them 4 times. If you were to, in terms of in Greatest Rivalries, if you were to go there and play for the Box, the likes of that. But for some of these players, like Vincent Koch, this is probably the last time he'll ever play against the All Blacks. Mine only is the last time he'll ever play against the All Blacks, and the first time as well. So be a bit confident. I like that. I like that they've gone to the corner here. The Roly Moors looked all right. Definitely been a lot better from a New Zealand point of view in terms of the way they've set up. What's good take once again from Manuel Tuka, Pepsi Buthelezi. Just shifts the angle slightly and then starts to pass it back. But Luke Jacobson seems to have come straight through there, so I'm not sure they're going to be able to recycle this ball. And they're not going to be able to do that. That's a very, very well done by Luke Jacobson. It's very well read. And he's just come straight through, gotten his hand over the ball. and done very, very well there. So we'll go back to the scrum. Come on, Vincent, have a bit of a job here. Have a crack. Another big scrum though. Ball's available at the back, and ball's available. There's the penalty advantage to Matthew Carley. Wallace TD pops it up to nobody, and they'll go back for the penalty. Tap and go though, and a bit of space here for Carl Preston. Now puts the boot to, and gonna have to come back as Lita Besta under a lot of pressure though. And as he knows, I mean, that's really, really well done. Carl Preston's put it down. Eventually, put it to the boot, and it's a phenomenal chase by the All Blacks. A lot of pressure on Besta, and Fee Bianganofo has bundled him out. So all of a sudden, from a 5-meter line out, the All Blacks are going to have a line inside the 22. Their first real attacking opportunity, to be honest, from a set piece. And we're looking at actually a penalty over there, so saying that the tackle was high. So that they've gotten away with that, have the Sharks. We'll see more, not much angle to work with here. This time, not quite the same result. And that's annoying from an All Blacks point of view, because you'd think that seems a bit harsh, to be honest. Besta asking seconds around. I mean, again, look how dirty these jerseys are going to become. It's a disaster. Who signed off on this? Who signed off on this? Keith Rand is saying, is it too Tuesday for triple clippies and Coke? I mean, I tell you what, that's probably the one thing that might warm people up here in South Africa. And because it's been super cold here. It's a good line there. Nick Hatton pops it up to Bradley Davids. Flat, though, to Pesi Buthelezi. Now, he's somebody who has ambitions to play plenty of games against the All Blacks. That's really well taken. But what's actually the call here? Is that knock backwards? Is that out? Is it knock on? Good kick, though. Besta gets there. I think that's a fair challenge. I think it's actually going to be a Sharks line-out, in which case, really perfect. Yeah, this is going to be a Sharks line-out. Well, Sharks dominating. I mean, I don't know how much of our stats have already popped up so far, but Sharks definitely, here we go, 87% of the possession so far. So not probably a stat that J.B. Peterson would have been prepping to have had, but it's a free kick for the All Blacks, says the referee. But who would have thought that after 17 minutes, it's not like it's after 1 or 2 minutes, after 17 minutes, 87% possession with the Sharks. So not a bad start at all for a Sharks side. I don't think too many of us gave too much of a chance. And they're going to shape up to put it high in the air. And that's been knocked forward from the looks of it. One back from the All Blacks. Fletcher Newell brought down. Ball available to the right hand side goes Carl Preston. Up quickly. And the swick hand. And Damien McKenzie hits the line. Skips the pass out one. Comes back inside. Satiti there. Just short. Now De Groot. Back down the right-hand side they go. Fighting hard to Sam Derry. Penalty advantage for the All Blacks. And a bit of space down the right-hand side and they're over. And it is Fian Ganofo who's gone over the number 14 in the corner. Just no pillar post there, to be honest, from the Sharks. Looked up, saw the opportunity, and did not need a second invitation to take it. Yeah, it's good work there. I mean, it's two players that committed on Josh Lord, and that's created the overlap. So who's the... Yeah, it's a miscommunication between Bradley Davids and Pepsi Buthelezi. Pepsi Buthelezi should have taken on Josh Lord. Bradley Davids should have kept on the play outside him, unfortunately. So despite having 13% possession up until about 17 minutes, the All Blacks are the first ones to draw blood. And it's going to curve in really nice. Oh, that is actually off the post and in. So Ruben Love adds the extra 2. Little Miss Big Boot says, so unrelated but related. Lots of side eyes about the SRC rebrand, but surely super calculated thing given the American eyes on this tour. Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying. It's very sort of NFL vibes. Sharks Rugby Club, which is weird because they are a franchise. Yeah, it's an interesting rebrand. I mean, I don't mind a rebrand. I think that often you do need to have a bit of a brand refresh and the likes of that. I'm not massively a fan of this one. I mean, I don't think the logo is terrible. It's just not. Yeah, it's not really. It's not. I wouldn't say as a Sharks fan I would resonate with it. And ball available now as Carl Preston looks to go to the boot. And the Sharks are taking it very, very well. Good work there. But actually, having said that, it's actually, in fact, a knock-on. So, Bester not being able to gather. And I was trying to work out, I was having the conversation yesterday on the Breakfast Club show and saying, you know, where are a lot of the Sharks players? You know, where are, I mean, we'd mentioned like a corner roll, for example. There's a lot of players over and above the missing shot box that aren't playing. Right, it's been one-way traffic come the scrum so far, and the All Blacks have definitely fixed. Well, I mean, I know it's a bit of a different side, but still the same squad. They're still the All Blacks and the likes of that. But on Friday night, they were hammered by the Stormers. So big opportunity for them, and especially the start, especially like of Fletcher Newell and Ethan de Groot, who are likely to be in that final 23 to just sort of remind people what it's about. It's a good kick there from Ruben Love, and Siaya has managed to regather and stay in. Wants to chip over the top. A bit of something different there from him, but the ball's gone straight into the hands of Wallace Atiti. He's been taken out of Siaya. Not sure that'll go down. It's a particularly clever move. Carl Preston to the right-hand side. Luke Jacobson. Siaya could have gone for touch. They decided to try and kick it over the top and chase himself. And then what he's done is invited the All Blacks back onto the front foot inside the 22. Now to the right-hand side. Ball over the top from Quintu Pai. There's plenty of options there. Just needs to regather. And Damian McKenzie does. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a bit bright future ahead of him, does Zikatilo Siaya, but that was the wrong call. You clear your lines. Just clear your lines. The conditions are not conducive to chip and chase and the likes of that. And David McKenzie, who at one stage we were worried about whether he'll continue at all, he has the second try in as many minutes, and it's off the back of a Sharks mistake. Siaya does so well to get back, and then he sees a bit of space, goes in himself, gets taken out, but not illegally so. And all of a sudden, by the time he gets back up, you got Wallace TT on the front foot. The Sharks are scrambling. Ball over the top from Quinton Pai. There's nobody behind. Siaya himself was out of position. And the All Blacks say, thank you very much. Try number 2. And little 303 making a very good point, saying that's the difference between an international team and a club. All Blacks get one chance, take it. Sharks blunder 222 entries. Yeah, I mean, that is the big thing, isn't it? Is take your chances. And that's something that the Box were at one stage. People were very, Ooh, he's lost that forward, I think, Oh, yeah, double lost. What I say? I said all he has to do is regather cleanly, and it looks like he, in fact, didn't. So it looks like the try is going to be chalked off. So maybe not as clinical over there. Yeah, I think he definitely loses this, does David McKenzie. So that try is going to be chalked off. And there'll be a lot of Sharks fans very relieved, no more so than Zekatelo Siaya. Yeah, ball is knocked on. We'll go back. So they go all the way back, and they'll have a scrum. So the Sharks stay in it, and that'll be a warning. Don't just volunteer the ball back to the All Blacks on your 22. You'd think that would be pretty straightforward and pretty recognized by now, but apparently not. So back it goes down to 7 points. No, apparently 9 according to our API. That'll fix itself, I have no doubt. Okay, well, says, how does the TMO not see that immediately and first try scored by a player that should have had a yellow? Oh, penalty for the Sharks at scrum time. Well, that's a nice big moment for them. They'll take a lot of confidence out of that. And it's on Fletcher Newell. I'm not sure you completely agree. I mean, when do you ever see a Sharks, a prop coming out of a scrum penalty and agreeing with the call and going, yeah, you know what, fair enough. You're probably right. That probably was the wrong call. Never is the long and short of it. Just past 22 meters here are the Sharks, and Edwin Swart's been very good at the line so far. He's hit his man. He's carried very well as well. He's had a solid start as the Sharks hooker, a position that the Bulls currently I spoke about today, very much missing at the moment. Now to the front, they go. And Corner rolls onto the field. So I have to find out exactly who he's on for. Ball goes over the top, and Bester will give chase. Ruben Love takes it very well and gets away from one. Ball available and quickly taken by Carl Preston. Now McKenzie at first receiver. Bit of space here. Josh Lord. Ball over the top towards Jordy Barrett. Now Quinty Pine. And they've got numbers here. Ball back inside. Oh, it's a big hit coming on Josh Lord. Now to the right-hand side. De Groot. Up towards 22 meters now. The All Blacks back on the blind side. Caleb Clark. Quickly on it. Now Carl Preston thought about going to the left and I decided to go to the right. And Fletcher Newell caught on the ball. They've got penalty advantage at the moment. So Stassen is off for corner roll at the moment. Long pass from Jordy Barrett. And skips 2 tackles. Eventually brought down. Ball goes forward, but they'll go back for the penalty. Yeah, and I mean, despite the wet conditions, it's been very, very efficient so far from the All Blacks when they've had their chances. A couple of errors, but tell you what, Vincent Cock looks like he's dropped quite a bit. He's looking far from a prop at the moment. Come on, mate, you're tight head. You gotta up the weight here. Look at the likes of a Wilco Low. Going to the line out here are the All Blacks. Looking at their second try. I mean, they've been over the white line twice. One was chalked off from Dan McKenzie earlier. Miss Nay saying, come on, Sharks, keep pushing. Jay's Very Sports says, weird, I thought that he dropped the bit, but I assume the TMO checked it is the same TMO from Argentina. And this is the frustration, is that it shouldn't take that long to check. You know, the fact that we get to having the conversion, we're still having a look, and then after that, we're going, oh, no, by the way, the second he scores that try, the TMO should be looking at 2 or 3 angles of that particular moment and making sure that it was legit. Anyway, off the back of the line, it goes to the cross kick, and it actually goes backwards. So, having to do a lot of work, there's Finnegan, but ball back aside, Dave McKenzie's going to go over. This one should count. McKenzie out of nowhere with the pace. And that one looked like he held on to that. So I don't think they're going to get lucky twice here, the Sharks. That one should definitely count. Very, very reassuring for All Blacks fans, given the fact that, as I said, he was limping around and it looked like he might have had to have gone off at a stage. So for him to be back on, well, stay on and strapped up and running at full tilt, it's just that ball back inside. And the Sharks players just don't really scramble enough. I think we're seeing a lot of the inexperience at the moment from some of the young Sharks players. Second conversion coming here from Ruben Love. Well, the shot clock says 3, 2, 1. Not sure if we're having another check here. No, I think it might be, eh? Oh dear, TMO check again. Well, people have been not very happy with the TMO recently, and this is going to get chalked off at the moment. Surely he hasn't dropped this again. Ooh! I think he's all right. They're looking over at the moment. So basically, it looks like the ball might have bounced. Well, in his hand might have bounced up, and has he gone out? But I think he's all right. I don't understand why the referee has to look at this. Surely the ball seems to be up there. Oh, you can't see anything. You can't see anything. There's just water. Yeah, I mean, good luck trying to chalk that off. Good luck trying to chalk that off. It does look somewhat like it might not be grounding, but at the moment, there's just so much water. You can barely see what's ball and what's water. There's no doubt that the ball is on his arm, not down there, but after. I mean, I tell you what, I wouldn't want to make this call. Shotgun not making this call. You're not going to see anything from that. The question, by the way, is the reason not to award a try. So we're just looking to see if he might be in touch, but then there'll need to be conclusive evidence here. The ball pops up there as he goes down. Then he goes down again. I think it's too marginal here. Yeah, I think, in which case, again, this is now annoying because now we've got in space of 2 minutes. Stay with the on-field decision, which is a try. Yeah, try will remain. If you're going to make a call from the TMO, look at it, make a call, and then let's get on with it, yeah, people. Let's get on with it. We cannot spend this much time on every single try. Ruben Love to eventually get his opportunity to take the conversion. So very well struck once again. It's going to split the pole. This is a brilliant kick in this year from Ruben Love. So the Sharks will go down 14 points to 0. They got a reprieve, but didn't really take it. And after that 97%, well, I think things would have changed quite substantially. And if we have a look at our stats, then this hasn't quite updated because that was earlier. And the Sharks do well. Almost won it back. Bester got there really quickly and managed to knock it back, but no one really there to gather from the Sharks. So the All Blacks eventually do get the ball back from the kickoff and goes to the boot as Carl Preston. Advantage is over for the knock. Very well taken. That running backwards was Bester. We saw Argentina deploy that sort of tactic. Instead of trying to run onto the ball, they kind of ran with it. And that kind of made it a bit more contestable. Oh, but it's a cock. And a slow ball here for Brady Davids. Taster here, and onto the goes Ruben Love. That's a nice tackle coming from Bester, but All Blacks have secured it. Preston goes to the right-hand side. There's a call coming from Geordie Barrett. He puts the ball quite low. He'll grab it in behind. Pops up awkwardly for Bradley Davis. He deals with it well. Ball back inside to Siaya. Now he puts to the boot and tells Donovan Don to get on his bicycle. Donovan Don goes up and knocked backwards by Quinn Tapia. McKenzie sees spots a bit of space. And having to go back as Bradley Davis. Is that ball going to slow up for him? It is indeed. That's the problem with the wet conditions. That ball doesn't go anywhere once it hits the ground. And now a bit of space for Vusi Moore to find a decent clearance. Up towards the halfway line. It's allowed to bounce. And inside you have from Geordie Barrett. Now Ruben Love looking to kick. Now the left-hand side, they've got lots of players stacked up. Little chip over the top from Caleb Clark. Whoa, that's too far. Far too far. Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing in terms of the kicking contest. You've got to try and make sure that every single kick you put in is contestable or moving them, or because if you can kick in behind, for example, all the players have to retreat. And that's a big, it sounds insignificant, but it's very important because in having to retreat and the likes of that, you are running up and down. So you can kind of basically get that pack moving. That was a big thing that the Box wanted to do, is to try and make sure that when they play against France, get that pack moving. So Edwin Swart, and it's been stolen, and Josh Lord's gone up there, and Jackson goes to Clark, now goes to Geordie Barrett. He sees a bit of space in behind, puts in the grabber. There's no one back because it was a Sharks ball, and Donovan Don's gone backwards. The 7-star, almost getting through one, eventually brought down. Now to the right-hand side, Pepsi Buthelezi, big hit on then came from Wallace Atiti. Now shape out for the box kick. Here comes Bradley Davids. Lifts it high, and Bester will give chase. Looking a bit awkward, and yeah, it's been knocked on, and it went back from Hatton, who then knocks it on himself. I'll go back for the first knock on from the All Blacks. It'll be a Sharks scrum. Yeah, I mean, the conditions are absolutely torrid. Like, you could not pay me enough money to play in this game. Well, the last scrum they had, the Sharks actually got a scrum penalty. So if they can get that again, get down. I just want to see the Sharks score some points. You know, that's the one thing. Can you get some points into the game? Can you leave with something? That's much better. Nice and solid. Bradley Davids goes to Murray Costa, puts his head down, and coming through the side is the call from the referee. So poor from the Sharks. That Ruben Love looking to try and take it quickly, and as we march back 10 meters, has the Sharks. That's silly, and that's the thing. You have to keep your discipline. You obviously, you know, he's kicked that dead, as Ruben Love. That's a dreadful, dreadful kick. So hands up there. It comes from Ruben Love. So we've got 34 minutes played so far. 5.5 minutes left on the clock here in the first half. Sharks scoreless at the moment, but it's not been a runaway. And that's the thing. Yeah, so we always talk about Rain being the greatest leveler, and we definitely saw that in the first few minutes. But yeah, the Sharks at the moment are just scrambling. They're kind of on damage control, just trying to find their way in. I'm going to put a poll up. I'm going to say which domestic side will have the best result. Which club side will have the best result versus the All Blacks. I'm going to put the Stormers in there because we can basically say that maybe the one on Friday was the best one. And Nice and solid scrum time. Barry Davis goes to the right-hand side, goes to Vusi Moya. Vusi Moya looks for options, skips out. Then first, finally, we get a bit of a touch for Urenza Julius. One of the players you wanted to watch, but it's literally the first time he's touched the ball. Now, Rulofsa. And once again, look, shame to go to the boot here. And higher goes. Not particularly far. Donovan Don's around and lurking. And goes back to Manuel Stuka, who goes back to Barry Davis. He's put a space on the right-hand side. Having to go back as Quinton. In fact, it's actually there's a placement here. I think I think Mackenzie's gone off here. Yeah, it looks like Mackenzie has gone off. So that is Imoni Narawa onto the park. And I don't think even after the try, he kind of looked like he had a bit of a limp to David Mackenzie, so they're not going to risk him. But this is the thing. If they lose David Mackenzie, that's a huge loss. And Glenn Sell reckons that South African rugby is weak, which is a bold call, considering the Boks are on a 12-match winning streak. I'm pretty sure if the Boks were to play, your Chiefs and the likes of that right now, the scorelines would be pretty big as well. And it's not even that big, to be fair. It's 14-0. How's this guy? Solid carry from Julius now. Brady Davis measures up. Murray Costa. Now Julius goes back on the angle. Nice big carry. Told to leave it as Luke Jacobson. Now Vusi Moore goes to the boot on the left-hand side. Best will give chase, but it's just going to go too far. The win, I think it looked like it took it, actually. Could see a bit of frustration there from Vusi Moore. The 2.5 minutes left on the clock, and unfortunately, I don't think the Sharks are going to be able to get some points on the board in this half at this rate. Well, this isn't very good news. I think that's Vincent Koch getting a bit of treatment on the floor. Looking at the carry over here, up against Fletcher Newell. Oh, hello. Is that shoulder-to-head contact potentially there? We are. I think we might actually be having a look here. No, we're not having a check. They're happy with the collision. Now, it's a really good line at that, though, from the Sharks. They want it back, and now, but it's space. Manuel Stuka puts his head down. He get the ball into his hand a bit more. He's carried well so far. Now back in the pocket is Vusi Moyo. Julius and Donovan Don goes ahead. Donovan Don once again just smacks it back. The saving skills there. Siyaya caught in the ball. I need to try and get it down though. Mauler's the call from the referee. Couldn't get his knee down at Siyaya, so it'll be turnover ball. Yeah, just very lightweight to Siyaya. By the time that K.O. Clark and Quinton Tupai get on him, yeah, it's going to be a difficult one to try and get that down to the floor. So scrum halfway between the 10-meter and the 22, and you probably think that was probably the best chance the Sharks had of scoring some points that particular phase of play. Little 3033 says Sharks scrum off is just too slow. I mean, it's wet conditions. Bradley Davids is actually a very much in the live wire frame, not usually a tactical player. That's very much the conditions. Now New Zealand looking to run from deep. Ruben Love brought down by Bester. And quickly taken. That's very well stolen, but they're going to go back for the penalties. Musimoyo actually, who had the steal there at the breakdown. So Uven Love, as the hooter does go, this time will find touch and not kick it dead. There was a big mistake from that in earlier. Could have been pretty costly for the Sharks had he found touch that scored. So I think the Sharks go in at 14-0. I think they'll take that, to be honest. Mr. Q for Life says, it's funny how people think it's going to be a high-scoring point game in the rain. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll get a higher scoring in the second half. That'll be my prediction, because I think that they'll start to get the measure of the conditions. But now Preston goes to the right-hand side. Can the All Blacks finish with a flourish here? Jordy Barrett goes, they left it behind. And Jereza Julius has been knocked backwards there by Caleb Clark. Long pass out wide. It's an awful, oh my goodness me. Well, that sort of sums it up. The conditions at the moment, absolutely awful down in Durban. And that last pass going over the man into touch from Quinton Pye probably sums that up. So we are going to go into half-time. And I'll tell you what, it's not the worst result. I don't think that's the worst... I don't think that's the worst result for the Sharks. 14-0. I mean, you score a try first up, and you're right back in the game. Low-scoring game. The crowd definitely has seeped in, but not the biggest crowd over at Kings Park. The weather and being a midweek game definitely playing its part. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll have a look at all the different stats and kind of exactly what the match has seen so far. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in a bit.
Gaan ek wel begin?
Ja, go for it.
Coach, ideally, what would you want from this game? What do you want to see? Because obviously you have a few experienced guys like Marcel and Kerwin and those, but also maybe a few youngsters very similar. What realistically do you want from this team, from this game? And then second question, what have you learned from the Stormers game against Storm?
I think, to be honest, it's a great occasion, but we will definitely be a little bit underprepared and from where we want to be. Obviously, we're building up to the URC, and that's still a few weeks away, so we don't want to peak now. So therefore, I think we're trying some new stuff, and we try to expand on our game from last season. So if we can see some of those signs, that will be probably the first thing. It will be a tough ask to play against the international side for 80 minutes. It's it's again, like I say, it's not to use an excuse, but the fact that we went to the final, we had less time to prepare than the other franchises, and therefore there's few things we did tweak and implemented. This will be a massive test because you're gonna do it not against in a warm-up game against somebody where you can trial and error. You do it against the best side, one of the best sides in the world, and if you get it wrong, they can probably punish you. But that's why we just want to embrace the occasion and embrace the this. And then I think what we learned from the Stormers is that you can build a bit of pressure on the All Blacks, but saying that, is that they still finding probably, I think when you look at the series they played against Italy and Ireland and those guys, I think they found a combination that they feel work, but I think Dave Rennie is trying to just see, who else can push for Test jersey. So maybe they're a little bit individualistic at the moment where they're fighting for those spots. So one have to take that in account. It is a change of environment. It is a change of traveling guys getting used to playing in South Africa. So in a sense, we don't want to read too much in that Stormers game. I think they're just going to get better and better, and we expect that they're going to probably, obviously come with a test match mentality on Saturday because it's a week before the first test. So yeah, I think ultimately, we just want to see if we can get a bit of reward of what we tried to practice in this last couple of weeks. For though, like I said, the time was a bit against us to really put it in place like we wanted.
Where would you be if, with regards to your preparation, if you didn't have this game?
Oh no, we would probably only just returned and from the break, because we had to cut. So we have to give the guys a 5-week break. We could only give them 3 weeks. Otherwise, you can imagine if we gave them 5 weeks, they only would have started rugby last week. We are physically, we just wouldn't be. The problem is, Sam, is that it's not that conditioning is the one thing, but your body after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, lose all its contact ability. So now we had to fast track all that. So if this game wasn't there, we would have probably been in a conditioning phase only. We wouldn't have touched, much rugby from this side, and then started only to build it up from the beginning to the end of this month to the beginning of September. So yeah, so it has put a bit of pressure on us from that side. And the challenge is also your preseason is your only time where you get to play around your stuff, because you normally play a warm-up match or two and you trial stuff and you see if it works and you try to see what players are in form, and now we're just picking on basically on the squad that we've got left, and then the odd guys that is unlucky not to be selected has been picked because of maybe of training, so that is a bit unfair, but yeah, that's the hand we've got.
Because obviously there's quite a few unique challenges before this match, but how nice would it be to gain one over All Blacks? I know you've played against it twice as a player. How nice would it be to?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're competitive, and we're gonna give them a run for their money, hopefully, and that's the aim. We don't want to make it easy, so even though that they probably, from a rugby point of view, more rapid, battle hardened. We're gonna give it a bash, and we still believe if we do the things well, we can upset them and push them all the way. But yeah, I mean, it's a great privilege. It's a great privilege to play against the All Blacks in any format. If it is for the Barbarians, if it is for South Africa, if it is for the Vodacom Bulls, and this is a occasion that a lot of the players will remember for always. So it's a obviously fond memories for me that played a lot in New Zealand, either Super Rugby or the Test match that I played there. But it's also a bit of a sad reminder, because the one thing I will always think about is what if I didn't get injured in my 4th test a week before they played their last 3-match test series in '96. I got injured. And, I knew that's the last time the All Blacks toured South Africa, and we wanted to play in that, and then I got injured. And now the Springboks is on the verge of making history again, playing in a Test match series. So it's a great privilege. So yeah, it's great to have the All Blacks in South Africa, and it's a great challenge for these players.
Just at that point, which game did you get injured?
I got again on Bloemfontein against Australia. It was part of the Tri-Nations. So we finished that, and then they stayed behind. The All Blacks would have come in for that last 3-match Test series. Yeah.
And I mean, does stuff like that factor in, like missing out and you coaching against them now? Does it factor into your thinking, say, looking at this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously it's different for the players that, for me, thinking about what I missed out, and now they're on the verge. Hopefully the players will realize what great opportunity this is. But it's not about me now, it's about them and the opportunity they get. But, it's hopefully they will grab this opportunity and always have it in the memory bank, because it is stuff that you reflect on, and even more so for the Springboks, because it's if you play this Test series, there's no guarantees you're going to be in the next one. When they come back to South Africa again. So it is a great privilege.
Coach, in terms of how the project up, obviously quite new faces, in Tasha injuries, what sort of spot can we sort of expect to see on Thursday? Are we going to kind of see as strong as you kind of can go, or we all extra young?
No, we're going to go as strong as we can, barring the Springboks that's not available, and Akker van der Merwe who's injured, and Sebastian de Klerk that's injured. All the other names that's available will play. So even the new guys that joined us, obviously there's still a few guys that must come, like Luan and Sangu and Dylan Mark, but they with their Curry Cup teams and so on. So, but in all the other names, and the regulars like Harold Foster and Stedman Khans, and those guys will be out there.
You would have mentioned you guys, this whole current area, how they all settled in.
No, great. I think the outstanding thing is how they adapted to us. They came in and just slotted in so amazingly. Just the character of the people they are. Takir, Andrew, Kerwin, all of them, they just slotted in, and they've already contributed, even though they haven't played. Just the way they deal with the players, just the way they contribute on the field is amazing.
It's just on the box, no other, apart from Emira's Papier that's released earlier, no other box will release to.
No, it doesn't look like it. Obviously, again, we are but in the challenge at hooker with Akker out. But it seems to me they're hanging on to all the hookers.
I saw Ambrose running on his own. Is he got a niggle, or is he fine?
No, we just swapped in. So we try to split the volume between the starting and the bench. So they know they have to swap in after certain minutes.
Coach, thank you.
Oh, sorry. What did you have to do differently to try and sort of fit this match in terms of your?
No, Sim, it's just simple. We came in and we did our testing, and then straight after testing we went, with the ball in hand.
Right, so an interesting first half. Not the most exciting rugby, but horrendous conditions. And as a result, the Sharks being 14 points down is probably a net win for them, to be honest. And we still yet to see the All Blacks hammer away with the local sides. It's been an interesting thing. And we've got somebody in the comments who's having a massive go about the handling, etc., etc. Well, Damien McKenzie dropped the ball over the line, Chief, and there's, from a hand in the air point of view, I think pretty much 50-50. So it's a weird thing to sort of go on about, given the fact that, yeah, it's 14-0 against a pretty dreadful Sharks side. So I think a big second half needed for the All Blacks, and let's see what the second half does come with. Obviously, the big thing is we want to wait and see. We're going to see Martin Nani come on, and interesting to sort of see exactly what we sort of what to expect from him when he does. I think probably the more worrying news from an All Blacks point of view is the fact that Daniel McKenzie had to be pulled off, and we'll have to wait and see exactly what's going on. But we have got a restart there. Well taken that as Dion Slabber goes up and takes a while off the kickoff over there. But does lock it on in the process of so yeah, that's kind of been the theme of the day. Both teams locked it off the kickoff. It's a very wet ball. I mean, the conditions are absolutely awful. Furthest thing away from the prime conditions for running rugby. So it'll be interesting to see what adaptations that the teams kind of make in the second half in terms of dealing with the weather, dealing with the with the wet, and also obviously what the bench is going to have. In terms of when they come. Right, first scrum of the second half. And to the left-hand side they go. Ruben Love pops it up. And a good lineman run there by Quinton Parr. Good work and well watched there from Murray Cross now to the left-hand side. Ruben Love puts the grabber in behind. Donovan Don is there and does find a touch. Not the best touch find from Donovan Don. That's kind of more what you expect to see. A bit of pressure on the outside there. Right, so I asked basically in the chat who's going to give the best result versus the All Blacks between the Stormers, Sharks, Bulls, and the Lions. The fact that people are saying the Lions are 12% goes to show you how little that they've watched of the Lions themselves. Because I think the Lions, who first of all are going to be playing against the non-test, and it's a free kick for the Sharks, a non-test All Black side, because it'll be just 4 days after the first test. I think they've got a good chance of having a good go, to be honest, given the fact that it's a very strong Lions side who will only not have Morne van den Berg or Kwaan Horn. In fact, they might actually have both of those players if they get released back to the Lions, which I quite expect to happen if they don't feature in that first test. I wouldn't be surprised if they do go back to the Lions. So you're going to have a close to a full-strength Lions side. No Ruben Fenter is probably the big one. But, yeah, I'll tell you what. I think that Lions could potentially be a bit of a bananas an appeal for the All Blacks. Should be a good game. Should be a very watchable game, that. And interesting to see what the Bulls do. I mean, as I said, Johan Ackerman said they're going to go as strong as they can this weekend. Obviously missing quite a few players, the likes of Akker van der Merwe, but we're interested to sort of see what the sort of side looks like. And the All Blacks are looking to get into work on the halfway line. Ball available. That's a nice big carry there coming from Sam Day, but good tackle as well coming from Vincent Koch. Ball available by Preston. And it takes a shot pass. Got another blind break there from Wallace TT. And still trying to get the offload. Gets the offload. Preston goes short to that. That's nice hands. Steps inside of Narawa. Ball in one hand. Now to the left-hand side. Ominous signs. Good hands there from Ruben Love. Jordy Barrett goes to the cross kick over there. Pressure onto Yaya to take it. Takes it brilliantly out the air, does. Looks like Caleb Clark. Now ball. He keeps it himself. Does Tupo Vi. Ball available. They're 2 minutes out now. The All Blacks. Can they start on the front foot? What is the TT now? Penalty advantage here for the All Blacks. Preston goes to the left-hand side. Arriving is Tupo Vi. And now, Asafa Moore. Has he got grounding? We're going to have a look. Asafa Moore is over. The question is, has he got grounding? Well, he's been asked, Asafa Moore, they asked him, do we need to check? And he said yes. So he thinks he scored it. Otherwise, they said they were going to come back for offside if he hasn't. So Matthew Carley's going to have a look at the moment. Ball's up there. No, we're not going to see anything. Yeah, not seeing anything. There's definitely no view of a grounding over there. And he's initially short. Looks like his hand's underneath. In fact, I think it's actually Nick Hatton, the captain, who's got his hand underneath. And then, yeah, we're not seeing anything there. Absolutely anything there. So my guess will go back for the penalty. There's too many bodies. Maybe this angle at the back here. But it looks like he's up over there. And then there's boots. And yeah, no, I think it's actually been well held up. I'm not even about whether we're going to be able to see grounding. I don't think there is grounding. I think that has definitely been held up. It's good defense there from the Sharks in that specific carry. And they'll go back for the penalty, though. So not out the woods yet. And also they potentially go for the tap and go. Yeah, it would make a lot of sense. And it is the Safa Moore with ball in hand. Tap and go. Just short here is the big hooker. Ball available for Carl Preston. He's got plenty of options. A switch from Wallace to TT. Long pass out wide into the hands. And Caleb Clark will say, thank you very much. Over he goes and gets the early try. Yeah, I just sucked in a couple of players. Long pass out over the top from to Caleb Clark. And easy as you like. Little set and play there. And it's Wallace to TT. I mean, that's a phenomenal pass from Wallace to TT. There are many a backline player out there that would admire a pass like that. Lofted into the hands of Caleb Clark. And what I will say is not much, but the conditions do look a little bit better. I don't think we've had rain for the last 20 minutes or so. So I think it has dried up a little bit. Especially not going to be dry at all. But hopefully less sort of wet patches where the ball basically just bounces and stops. He's kicked very well so far this evening, and that is putting to the left, but it will go through from Ruben Love. That's 3 from 3 from him, and the All Blacks open up a 21 points to 0 lead. Right, Wusimura gets back underway, goes down the left-hand side. Now Jacobson. Now to the right-hand side, looking to run from deep here. Ruben Love caught in the ball. Now what's to TT? Now goes to the boot there, does Carl Preston. Ball back. Underneath it is Siaya. Trying to get around the corner. Ball back inside, and his foot is in touch. Not had a very good game so far. Siaya struggled a little bit. Going to show our scoreboard in a second. There's a penalty to the All Blacks anyway. So Ruben Love will look to find touch down the right-hand side. Now off the back there. Big catch ball there coming from Sam Durry. And a change, by the way, for the Sharks. Yeah, completely caught on in 2 minds. There's Carl Preston. A couple of subs here for the Sharks. Leon Guillaume is on it for Donovan Don. And ball comes loose. And there's first touch for Gilmer. Sees a bit of space, comes back inside. Exciting player, though, playing on his way to the Bulls. I'm not entirely sure what's happened to his jersey. He's got 1-2-2-1 on the... Oh, it's 22. I mean, stupid. What's gone on there with the stripes? Oh, so they've got so that's a disaster. An absolute disaster in terms of who thought that through. So in terms of where the Sharks go, I mean, the biggest problem at the moment is that the Sharks don't have a set piece. The line's been all right, but the Rolling Maul's not really working. So there's not much to sort of attack on the back, and they're going to try the Rolling Maul here, exactly, yeah. But they've not been finding much success. Now, Brady Davids lifts it to the boot, and it's going to get a bit too far. It's just inside 22 as Ruben Love does mark it. And this is where we talk about the kicking accuracy has to be so good. If you're going to go to the boot, if you're going to go to play sort of the box kick and the likes of that, then you got to make sure that you weight the kicks correctly. That's just too far, and really you can just mark it. It becomes too easy to get away and get an exit from that. You got to be accurate. We saw the box being very inaccurate over the weekend and how that does just completely nullify your attack and the likes of that. Everyone's smart. And they contest the round with the All Blacks and they come away with it, actually. And in fact, no, the Sharks come away with it, so not knock on advantage. Ball available here. Brady Davis goes to the boot. I think we'll see Ivan Funzel on very soon, who's probably more suited to this kind of conditions. Ball goes up and Siaya is after it, and Siaya knocks it forward in trying to contest. Poor pass back to Ruben Love. He's left it behind. Vusi Moore is going to dive onto it, but there was, and he can barely pick it up. I mean, the conditions, especially in that corner, are dreadful. Dreadful. So we're going to go back for the scrum. Right, so scrum here. Carl Preston will feed. Half an hour left on the clock. Jordy Barrett goes to the boot on the bounce towards the wing and kicked ahead. And Besti will get there first. Oh, it's good chop tackle on him, though. Lots of pressure with the ball. Comes skewing out on the All Black side. Jordy Barrett looking at options. Goes to the left-hand side. Fletcher Newell offloads to his prop partner, Ethan de Groot. Preston now with the options. Left-hand side. Jordy Barrett to the right-hand side goes Kuntupaya. Kuntupaya seeing a bit of space opening up ahead of him. Brought down by corner roll. Jacobson. Soft hands. On the bounce, though, to Narawa. Now they'll kick him behind from Ruben Love, and he's left it behind. Picked up a go from Caleb Clark, and in for the second. Well, it's a wings night, and Fehi Fininganofo has gone over for his second. Caleb Clark's got one as well, and New Zealand get what would have been a bonus point try if we were playing in the tournaments. The likes were not, but they do get their fourth try of the night, and it's all starting to come apart a little bit. It's just very broken play at the moment. Not much structure, not much sort of anything at the moment. I mean, the ball in behind from Jordy Barrett, it kind of knocked backwards and then knocked. It's a comedy of errors, to be honest. Even then, we even love leaving ball behind. I mean, it's not pretty rugby. It's the kind of rugby you'll see at in Cape Town, under 14 Ds. You know, the ball just kind of being dropped and on the floor, people just trying to dive on it, and the ball being spilled backwards, kicked over there. It's messy. It's messy. And that's what wet conditions will do. They'll create very, very crappy rugby. Another miss from Ruben Love. That's 4 from 4 from him. Kicking very well off the tee. He's had a good game so far this evening, Ruben Love. Option for Bowden Barrett on Saturday. Didn't play. I didn't think he played particularly well. I wouldn't say he took that option very well. Now you got Damian McKenzie, who's potentially an injury concern for the All Blacks. Lots of talks about when are we going to see Richie Mo'unga parachuted in. And here come the changes from the All Blacks. Right, Vusi Moyo with the restart on the left-hand side. Taken by Geordie Barrett. And happy to hammer it down. That's a great kick, actually, out towards the halfway line. 28 points to 0 and 26 minutes on the clock. And Pasila Tosi onto the park. Well, he's somebody who needs to have a good game because he was absolutely wrecked by Vernon Vertonghen on Friday. So, yeah, in terms of somebody who needs to have a bit of a turnaround and put in a shift tonight, he's probably one of them. And it's a free kick, New Zealand. And to be fair, Matthew Carney kept saying, New Zealand, you're closing the gap. New Zealand, you're closing the gap. And then has eventually given them the free kick. And Vusi Moyo will put this in the air. And the Sharks will give chase. Lita Bester will lead the charge. Nice tackle there coming from corner. In fact, it's Vincent Koch getting up there first. Putting in a shift, good old Vincent. Out to the right-hand side. So just confirmation, some of the subs there. Ollie Norris onto the park. A late inclusion with the squad was flown in. Bradley Slater on as well. Pasila Tosi on as well. And charge down and ball back to the man change. Oh, but a space on one up for Geordie Barrett. Geordie Barrett puts the hammer down. To the right-hand side. Oh, he's gotten back and he's just put that back into touch. Has Ivan van Zyl, who has just come onto the park. New acquisition for the Sharks. Ivan van Zyl. Theodora says, really surprised how fast and free this game is in those wet conditions. Amazing skills. Has gotten a lot better in the second half. I did say it looked like it was getting slightly better. We're going to go back and have a retake of the line on that thing. But yeah, definitely second half, they've definitely stepped it up here. Slater, good line there. And in the midfield, gives us the one tackle. Yeah, so in terms of the Shark subs, we'll go through them in a bit. Not too many so far. Ivan van Zyl, Kriome, and Corne roll onto the park, but knocked on by the All Blacks. So we'll have another scrum over here. Edwin Swart is down there and in a bit of pain. Doesn't look very happy. And the question on everyone's mind at the moment is, when do they pull the trigger? When do we see it? When do we see Marananu into the fray? Match number 2 of the tour. Bulls on Saturday in Pretoria. Box on next Saturday in Ellis Park. Lions a few days later. And a messy game so far. 2 messy games, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the All Blacks definitely have been the better side, but there's not been error-free. Let's not pretend that we haven't seen plenty of knock-ons from the All Blacks from both sides. The difference, I think, the main thing has been the accuracy. The All Blacks have taken their opportunities a lot better. Sharks haven't taken their opportunities at all at this stage. Free kick, and Ivan van Zyl goes to Vusi Moya. Vusi Moya wants to go himself. Haven't seen much of him. Gets away from one as Vusi Moya. Now Corey Roll gets away from one. Nice carry from him. Ivan van Zyl goes to America. Oh, it's lined up by his opposite number. He gets to offload away, though, to the under 20 star, Luan Giome. To the right-hand side. Edwin Swart back onto his feet. Driven backwards, though. Has a second go. Pasila Tosi getting involved. And, well, jeepers. Just as I was saying, it was better from the Sharks. And Vincent Cox, he's done very well there as basically Bootlays. He got the offload away. Back towards Giome. Long pass side wide towards CA. He's playing out in the wing now. Puts on the hammer down, but gets away, almost gets away from Caleb Clark. And bundled into touch. Wanted to get the offload away, but decided to hold it. And they're taking it quickly, have the All Blacks. So it goes to Ruben Love. But no, says the referee. Off you come back towards the line out. My guess is you'll see a minority around the 65-minute mark. That'll be my prediction here. Well, we are seeing a replacement here, and there goes Pepsi Buthelezi from the looks of it. Yeah, now we start to see the big changes here. So new front row on for the Sharks. So Liam van Veek, Rambo, Quebeca, and Sapiro Ngobezi all on. And I imagine Matt Romero on as well. I'm sure that was Pepsi Buthelezi going off. Trying to see if I can see a Matt Romero. Good player. The young Matt Romero. Now to the left-hand side. All back seeing a bit of space. Good hands. Good hands. Caleb Clark gets it out wide. 2.5 finds himself on the wing. Good tackle there coming from Vusi Moyo. Big counter coming from the Sharks. Now to the right-hand side. Satiti off for the All Blacks as well. There's a couple of changes there, which we'll confirm in a second. Now Ruben Love looking for options, goes behind to Jordy Barrett. Jordy Barrett gets to Tupai. Long pass out wide. Bester trying to get across. To Raiden Narawa. Does Raiden Narawa. Good tackle. Ball back inside. Basically goes to Jacobson. Not the best pass. Ruben Love pops it up to Norris. Takes him to contact. Now to the right-hand side. Jacobson now. And behind, and Ruben Love. And it's a big overlap here. Almost made a good read there, did Kayome, but now it's space out wide for Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark gets out wide. Yeah, he needs to try and rein him in. He does. Pick up and go. They're coming from Sam Derry. Ball available, but slow ball. Here's now for the All Blacks. Allows the Sharks to regather a little bit. Penalty advantage, though, for them. Tossi. Big hit coming from him. Now to Pai. To Love. Slater, good hands, good hands. Jacobson hands off one. Ball over the top towards Jordy Barrett. Jordy Barrett's going to go into the corner. Takes the early dive. Doesn't make the mistake of Jamie McKenzie either. Make sure he's got that ball well tucked up as he goes over for New Zealand's 5th try of the evening. And it's just a numbers overload, complete numbers overload. And the Sharks defend, yeah, and it's the handoff there on from Jacobson on Lorena Julius. But yeah, and then good point be made here by Illicit saying the under 20 front row is on. Yeah, it is indeed. So lots of inexperience in that Sharks front row. I think a lot of people are a bit frustrated because it's an amazing opportunity for some of these players, but you're also sort of there thinking, you know, should we not have seen a stronger side being put out by the Sharks? I mean, if you look at the Sharks squad, I'll go through it in terms of who's missing this evening, and I'm not going to include your Bok players like, you know, Ania Van Etzebeth. Obviously, quite a few injuries. No Hendrickson brothers, but there's still quite a few players missing. I think it's frustrating that they haven't put out some of those players. I mean, we're not entirely sure what's happening with Bongi Manambi and Maxima Pimpi, but you're kind of wondering, well, where's an Ethan Bester? Where's a Honor Jacobs? You know, Fez and Barter. A Superior Matanzima is there. Well, there it is. There it is. He is onto the park. Marinardi's going to get 19 minutes And what a moment that is. For Nani to come on and play against the All Blacks. He'll come down 35 points to nil. Be very surprised if he's on the winning end of this. But an incredible moment in what's a pretty remarkable rugby career. Now a bit of space with Kuntu Pai. Now starting to get very open as Caleb Clark comes back inside. And Carl Preston! He'll go all the way. No issue. The All Blacks going coast to coast now. It's all starting to open up for the Sharks. They made the replacements. They put in some new players. And things are all now starting to get a little bit out of hand. Yeah, it's just a complete numbers mismatch at the moment. And you can just see a lot of the Sharks players dead on their feet. I think a big thing, and this is what Johan Ackerman was speaking about, is the fact that because they're into sort of the preseason, you've got a lot of players who, to be brutally honest, are not match fit. Because they're not basically supposed to be, in inverted commas, match fit by this stage. And a big thing that Johan Ackerman was speaking about is the fact that, you know, you need to get to a stage where your body's used to taking contact again. And so it was an interesting idea. I don't think. I mean, I didn't really sort of speak. Really given it much thought as myself either, in terms of that whole idea of being battled hardened and getting ready and being ready to take that that sort of contact. All right, Wusimura goes to the left-hand side. 42 points to nil. Now, I called 42 points to 12. So the Sharks could go and score 2 tries here. It will do my prediction situation a lot of good. Arawa. Trying to find a bit of space. No, big carry that came from Basile Tosi. Right, ball available for Carl Preston. Still no Cam Roygaard just yet. Ball goes up and Clark will give chase, and Siaya doesn't get quite right. Ball pops up for Narawa, but it is a knock-on. Right, 15 minutes left, and for the Sharks, at the moment, I suppose it's just damage control. It's just damage control. I think it was always basically a matter of when, not if, things would start to fall apart. Now is very much that time. So the question is, how much can they just keep things together in the last 15? And Jan Ackerman basically already preempted that fall apart for the Bulls, and he said, you know, we're not ready for an 80-minute performance, so they're going to give it a crack. But he said basically exactly that. You know, to try and get through 80 minutes is going to be a big push for a lot of the players. Not the left-hand side, and Nani will get his first carry. Brought down by Ruben Love. Now to Tuka. And penalty advantage for the All Blacks. They have turned the ball over. And Tautua Nawa puts the ball in behind, and Chiome will have to go back and retrieve under a lot of pressure. And it's charged down, but eventually goes out for touch. Thank goodness for the youngster. As I said, it's all getting a little bit out of control. Well, if nothing else, Mon only managed to get one carry in so far. I mean, plenty of time to get a couple of other ones in. It's a 5-meter scrum now for the All Blacks. Worrying times, and an AC on a 20 front row that needs to, on under 20 front row, needs to try and stand up to a full international. And penalty for the well, they've won a penalty. Well, how's that? And a couple of words to Pasila Torsi there from the side. I don't think he really appreciated that. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Have a word. Have a word. Palomini doesn't find touch though, so back to the All Blacks will go. Narawa went out. Kuntupai. Now to the left-hand side. Jacobson pops it up short. Tavatavanawa gets away to Caleb Clark. Now to the right-hand side. Noni getting involved. Ruben Love fires it out towards Derry. Trying to get his hands on the ball. There is Chiome, and no advantages the referee. And Ruben Love will find touch just inside the 22. Well, which of the Sharks players have stood up? I think that's the big talking point, and I think that somebody like Emmanuel Stuko he's gone down there, but it's a big hit over there. Pressing with a bit of space on himself, closes up. I'll tell you what, he's had a good game. Cornet Rolls come on and had a good game, and I asked why he wasn't selected in the first place, which, from the looks of it, seems to be a justified question. Pick up and go on Jacobson. Priscilla Tossi now looking for try number 7 of the All Blacks. And into the corner. And Tavatavanawa will get onto the scoreboard. So this is getting very, very ugly for the Sharks. And yeah, to a certain degree, I suppose we kind of felt that a lot of this was inevitable eventually. Yeah, ball watching with the Sharks there, to be honest. No one really even anywhere close around there in the pillar post. So frustrating that. I mean, if you're gonna concede tries, one thing, but just make them work for it. You know, stuff like that where there's just nobody ahead of you is really, really poor. Well, that's the first one. And pulled well left by Ruben Love. Not his best kick, but he's kicked very well besides that this evening. So in general, I think it's been quite an accomplished performance from Ruben Love. Definitely seems to have his hands on that that number 10 jersey for now. Deep there, and a good tackle there coming from, I think it's Ingabezi, the youngster. And that's Cam Roy going to the park as well. Feel me now. Looks a bit bright with ball in hand here as Chiome. Does not really had much to work with. But the left-hand side, a little bit of a fumble. But can the Sharks find something? I could do with him. From my prediction point of view, I could do with him finding something. Show and go. Now the left-hand side. Oh, it's a big hit coming there. Back of the inside goes Nonu. Ball available for Ivan Sansel to the left-hand side. Up quickly. And having to ride the hit there is Ngobezi, the tight head. Now shaping up for Ivan Sansel to go to the box kick. Just, it was well weighted. There's just no chase already. Now, Caleb Clark will give chase. Not too much on here for Quinta Pyatt. Josh Lord. Ethan Blackadder getting involved. Just onto the park now. I mean, the moment is just... it's like... It's like playing basketball out here. It's bizarre. Now, Tavatavanawa. Bit of a space. Ball back inside and lost forward once again. Roy God was over, but they'll go back for... I think that's actually Courtney's right smile. I don't know what I'm talking about Cameron Roy God. Courtney's right. When was that? That was a late change. As he got the ball, I said they say that doesn't look like Cameron Roy God. Interesting decision there. We didn't get anything pre-match about that. Another break-in player. Not entirely. I think it's Marina Rawa who's getting... Nope. Why we stopped you? Why we stopped you? The referee wants to get going. Yeah, come on, people. Let's get this. Let's get through this. It's been a long evening. It's been a tough evening for the Sharks. Let's put them out their misery here. Let's get through the end and let them go and have a beer or two with the lads. Right. Van Zel with the put in yet. And penalty to the All Blacks. We can take quickly as Cordy's Ratimer. Does it. Now to the left-hand side. Quinta Pyatt brought down. I tell you what, I think called Leon Guillaume's come on and made more tackles than half the Sharks team have. Ball over the top and Josh Lord, the big man, caught on it. Ratimer looking for options. Goes to Caleb Clark getting involved within the forwards. Maybe doing a bit of a bid to become a bit of a hybrid player. Now coming on an angle and just reaching out. Noni can't stop him. And Sam Derry goes over. And the All Blacks get try number 8. They do hit the 50 margin for the first time this tour. I think if it wasn't so wet, they could have hit there before then. And actually, the referee's sort of getting a little bit in the way there. And you can see that's what basically Marnani had said. Said the referee was in the way and kind of stopped him from getting the initial tackle in. Matthew Carley up against us as well. Imagine. And no mistake once again from Ruben Love. He's kicked very, very well off the tee tonight. And Sharks go to the final, basically 4 minutes. Sure they can get something over here. And you're looking over here, he runs on the angle, and you can just see, Martin Nod is completely blocked by the referee. It's the first thing he says, is the ref was in his way. So Matthew Carley not well placed there at all. We'll see more to the left-hand side with the restart chap. Oh, bit of a juggle there from Ollie Norris. Porter's Rattiman looking for options. Got Torsi to the left-hand side. Goes to Basilo Torsi. Ball goes to the air there and swirling around, but eventually brought down by Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark turns and Julius Julius reels him in. Cordy's Rattimer caught in the ball. Bit of an awkward one. But it ends up back at Ruben Love. Ruben Love sees a bit of space. It's actually charged down. Going through is Matt Romero. Get the offload around the turn. Goes to Ethan Blackhat and Meadows Tuka makes a good tackle. Sharks kind of sprung into life a little bit here. Now Norris. Cornerell once again against timing wrong, and that's a tester for Bester. And fails the test, unfortunately. Ball comes loose, and Tavatavanawa comes away with it. Corners Rattimer wants quick ball. Back towards Ruben Love. Jacobson. Narawa. Kuntapaya getting involved. Puts the kick in behind. And Kurmi now will return the favour. He wants to run it himself. Not sure was the right call from the youngster. I'm going to go to the boot chase, Van Fanzel. No one real chasing. A knock backwards by Caleb Clark. Gets on the second attempt. He's got plenty of time to do exactly that. Marnani makes the tackle. Now to the left-hand side. That looks a bit forward. And then knocked on again. Picked up on Bester. Who's then knocked into touch. Oh, jeepers. Call the game, ref. Call the game. It's all falling apart here. Is this who's down here? Is that looks like Ingobezi's down. The young tight head, just 21 years of age. Looks like a match might be done actually. Well, it's been far from competitive this evening, but I hope the fans that get. I mean, and shout out to the fans that did get out there. Miserable weather. I mean, 14 degrees in Durban is basically emergency services stuff in terms of how cold that is for them. Horrendous conditions, lots of rain, and the fans have turned out, and it's not a massive attendance. I don't know what the final attendance is, but you know what? They get to watch they get to watch the All Blacks. They get to watch some international players. Jay Serena, who's one of our Kiwi fans, saying the next couple of games are not going to be easy for our All Blacks against Bulls and Lions playing at altitude. And there goes Maonani, who pops it up to, and the hands there from Bester almost getting through. Yeah, I think hopefully the Bulls will have a bit of a better showing. And now to the right-hand side. Hands, there it is. They're introduced a bit of space. Can the Sharks end on the flurry? He gets away from one, gets away from two. Ball back inside. Oh, it's been left behind. Picked up by Siyaya and locked forward from the Sharks. That was it. And they finally came alive to the Sharks. And Lorenzo Julius, where's that been? I've been waiting for that all evening. And it's good hands here. Steps back aside. Good ball here from Daniel Julius. Just trying to throw that ball back up. Oh, I think the initial knock-on's a bit harsh, to be honest. Let's see how then when he loses it behind. That was probably the actual first knock-on. Right, last scrum of the day. The hooter has gone, and Cordes Ratimer says that's enough, and into a touch they go. People, thank you very much for joining me on a Tuesday evening. For the Sharks fans, sorry that it was not your night, and hopefully we'll see a better display. The good news is I think that will be the final B team inverted commas we'll see. The Bulls are set to go with their stronger side. We're then going to have 4 tests, and we're going to see a Lions with their stronger side. So hopefully this will be the blowout game, but moving forward, we'll see something a little bit more competitive. Please smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you guys all for the rest of the week as we build it towards the Bulls. We've got Johan Ackerman's press conference. We'll obviously be into All Black camp from Thursday. So all that kind of coverage coming your way as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn your notifications on as well so that you get notified whenever we put up some content for you guys as well.